Chapter 171. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. After Qin Nan left the 43rd residence, he returned to his residence and sat down with his legs crossed, preparing to continue his cultivation. For him, the events that had taken place today would not affect him in the slightest. In Qin Nan's opinion, Ouyang Jun's threat was not as important as his cultivation. Before Qin Nan could start his cultivation, his third residence welcomed its first guest, who turned out to be Gong Yang. After Qin Nan had left the Martial Serendipity Pavilion, it had been half a month since he last saw Gong Yang. In this period of time, the aura emitted from Gong Yang's body had grown stronger and stronger, a sign that he had achieved a breakthrough in his cultivation. Qin Nan, you've hidden your strength well. How many trump cards do you have? I'm getting more and more confused about you. Gong Yang walked in with a grumbling tone. The grumbling did not sound like he was blaming Qin Nan, but instead, he sounded relieved. This was because in Gong Yang's heart, Qin Nan was like a brother to him. He was overjoyed to see his brother possessing a 10th grade Huang-ranked martial spirit. A smile appeared on Qin Nan's face as he said in a serious tone, "Brother Yang, I'm not trying to hide it from you. It doesn't make any difference whether I tell you the truth or not. We're still brothers." "Haha, well said, I like it." Gong Yang burst out laughing, but his smile was soon withdrawn, replaced by a stern expression. Qin Nan was aware of this and asked, "Brother Yang, what's going on? It's really a big deal this time. You have to be mentally prepared." Gong Yang glanced at Qin Nan and said in a slow tone, "Just a moment ago, you had a conflict with Ouyang Jun, right? Do you know who he is?" Qin Nan was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that Gong Yang actually came for Ouyang Jun. "Brother Yang, you know my temper. If people respect me, I will respect them tenfold. I don't care about Ouyang Jun's background." Qin Nan shook his head. He looked indifferent and fearless. "Sigh," Gong Yang sighed and said with a bitter smile, "Of course I know your temper, but things are different from what you think. There are other things. First of all, Ouyang Jun is the son of the current leader of the Xianling clan." Qin Nan's eyes turned cold. No wonder Ouyang Jun was so arrogant. It turned out that he was the son of the sect leader. Gong Yang glanced at Qin Nan and said in a stern tone, "Although Ouyang Jun is the son of the sect leader, you are now favored by Old Shan, and you are the disciple of the Honorable Elder Princess Miao Miao. Therefore, in terms of background, there is no need for you to be afraid of him. However, there is another important question." After saying this, Gong Yang paused for a while, before he continued, "There is an engagement between Ouyang Jun and Xiao Qingshu." "What? There is an engagement between them?" Qin Nan's face was filled with astonishment. If Ouyang Jun was the son of the Xianling clan's sect leader, it would not attract his attention. However, the engagement between Ouyang Jun and Xiao Qingshu was enough to make him lose his mind. Because Xiao Qingshu had always been kind to him, he had long regarded Xiao Qingshu as his sister, his family. Now that he suddenly heard that she was engaged to Ouyang Jun, he naturally couldn't keep calm. Gong Yang continued, "I heard from one of the elders in the sect that Xiao Qingshu's parents were elders of the Xianling clan, but unfortunately met with a mishap. The sect leader then adopted Xiao Qingshu as his daughter due to the contributions her parents had made to the Xianling clan. Later on, when Xiao Qingshu and Ouyang Jun grew up, the sect leader personally gave the order to set up the engagement. Once Ouyang Jun reached the martial emperor realm, he would marry Xiao Qingshu." After saying this, Gong Yang's eyes flickered with a murderous intent. "Do you still remember the incident where Mo Qing attacked you before you were heading to the Martial Serendipity Pavilion? Ouyang Jun gave the order?" A thought flashed across Qin Nan's mind, as the doubts in his mind were instantly resolved. After the outer domain trial, the whole Xianling clan knew that Qin Nan had a formidable background, and that he was closely related to the great elder, Old Shan. Under such circumstances, Mo Qing, who was only the third elder of the inner disciples, dared to attack Qin Nan in public. It was obvious that someone was supporting him from behind. This person was none other than Ouyang Jun. As for why Ouyang Jun attacked him, the answer was obvious. Since he joined the Xianling clan, he had a close relationship with Xiao Qingxue. How nice of you, Ouyang Jun. There is nothing between Qingxue and I. Qingxue is only taking care of me because she admires me. How could he be so narrow-minded, to support Mo Qing and let Mo Qing attack me? Qin Nan's eyes flickered coldly. Previously when Mo Qing attacked him, if it weren't for Princess Miao Miao, he would most likely have suffered a serious injury. Gong Yang was slightly startled after hearing this, and said with a hint of disbelief, Qin Nan, why are you so concerned about this? Don't tell me you don't have any thoughts about Xiao Qingxue? Thoughts? Qin Nan did not expect Gong Yang to ask such a question. He was startled for a moment, before he said with a wry smile, You're overthinking it. I don't have any thoughts about Qingxue. It's just that Qingxue has helped me many times in the past. I'm very grateful to her. Gong Yang was left speechless. In his opinion, Qin Nan had always liked Xiao Qingxue, and Xiao Qingxue also had some feelings for Qin Nan. Initially, he was worried that Qin Nan would attack Ouyang Jun because of Xiao Qingxue and turn the whole place upside down. Now, it seemed like he was overthinking. What are you going to do now? Gong Yang collected his thoughts and asked. I don't plan to do anything. For Qingxue's sake, I'll let bygones be bygones when he attacked me last time. If he dares to attack me again in the future, I won't show any mercy. Qin Nan said after taking a deep breath. If Ouyang Jun and Xiao Qingxue were not engaged to each other, Qin Nan would definitely settle the score with Ouyang Jun, even if he was the son of the clan leader. Due to the friendship between him and Xiao Qingxue, he decided to endure it this time. Gong Yang hesitated. He then let out a sigh and waved his hand. It's fine as long as you know it. I don't care what you're going to do. Don't worry, no matter who it is, if anyone dares to bully us, even if it means turning the whole place upside down, we won't back off. After saying this, Gong Yang's eyes were filled with murderous intent, like a bloodthirsty general on the battlefield, completely losing his gentle temperament. This was Gong Yang, a gentleman on the surface, but a murderous god when enraged. Because of this, Gong Yang and Qin Nan were able to ignore the gap between their cultivations and become brothers. Besides, from what I know, Ouyang Jun is not only targeting you because of Xiao Qingxue. Now in the Xianling clan, the clan leader and the great elder are like fire and water. Therefore, if he can't recruit you, he will surely suppress you. Gong Yang said slowly after a slight hesitation. I see, no wonder Ouyang Jun has such a strong murderous intent toward me, turning against me immediately after a slight disagreement. Qin Nan immediately came to a realization. Alright, let's not waste any more time. Focus on your cultivation and improve your cultivation, so you can rank up to the martial emperor realm as soon as possible. Gong Yang withdrew his aura and patted Qin Nan's shoulder with force, before he left the place with a kick. Staring at Gong Yang's departing figure, Qin Nan's eyes were engulfed in flames. The flames were a hint of battle intent. Now that there was a conflict between him and Ouyang Jun, according to Ouyang Jun's personality, he would surely seek revenge on Qin Nan. Ouyang Jun's current strength is only a step away from the martial emperor realm. It seems like I have to improve my strength as soon as possible. Qin Nan took a deep breath and wore a determined look. He then sat down with his legs crossed and took out the last fruit of power from his storage bag. Initially, Qin Nan had planned to consume the fruit of power when he reached a bottleneck in his cultivation. Now that he had encountered such a powerful enemy like Ouyang Jun, he had to improve his cultivation as soon as possible. Without hesitation, Qin Nan grabbed the fruit of power and shoved it into his mouth. As the fruit of power entered his mouth, it immediately turned into a magical force, which landed on the atavistic chi inside Qin Nan's dantian like a flame. After absorbing the force, the atavistic chi shuddered violently and expanded rapidly, causing its aura to skyrocket. At that instant, in just 5 breaths' time, the chi inside Qin Nan's body had reached the second layer Xiantian realm. The fruit of power is indeed magical. Too bad I can only consume one at a time. Qin Nan's eyes flickered. Without any hesitation, he reached out his hand and took out the arcane realm stone from his storage bag. After absorbing this arcane realm stone, hopefully my martial skill will reach the greater success stage of the arcane realm. Qin Nan exhaled deeply. Following this, a golden glow appeared behind him, as the divine battle spirit emerged from the ground. Qin Nan placed the arcane realm stone in front of him, as his eyes became blurred, as if he had entered the state of a martial addict. The calm arcane realm stone vibrated violently and emitted a magical glow, which encapsulated Qin Nan's entire body. Chapter 172. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. When Gong Yang arrived at Qin Nan's residence, inside the 43rd residence, Li Hong stared at Ouyang Jun's gloomy face and said with an expressionless face, "You shouldn't talk to Qin Nan like that. After all, Qin Nan has a 10th grade Huang-ranked martial spirit, and is the disciple of the Great Elder and the Honorable Elder. There is no difference between the two of you in terms of talent or background." Ouyang Jun's face turned even colder as he uttered a roar, "Li Hong, you shouldn't talk to me like that either. If it weren't for my brother, I would surely kill you today." After saying this, Ouyang Jun emitted a murderous aura, as if he was going to attack at any second. Li Hong's expression remained the same as she said in a calm tone, "If it weren't for your brother, I wouldn't help you even if you were the son of the sect leader. You." Ouyang Jun's face turned furious. After a while, Ouyang Jun finally withheld the anger in his heart and said in a cold tone, "I don't want to waste my time talking nonsense with you. Qin Nan dares to provoke me, so I'll make sure he dies a horrible death. Go to his 3rd residence at once and provoke him with your words, provoke his anger, and have a great battle with him, humiliating him." Li Hong's eyes glistened, and after a while, she slowly said, "I won't interfere." "Is that so?" Surprisingly, Ouyang Jun did not become enraged, but said with a smile, "If that's the case, you should talk to Ling Feng and tell him to focus on dealing with Qin Nan. He doesn't have to worry about anything else. Can you do it?" Ouyang Jun's tone turned heavier as he said the last sentence, as his eyes flickered coldly. Li Hong hesitated for a moment, before she nodded her head and said, "Sure." As soon as she finished speaking, her figure flashed and she directly left the courtyard. Her actions were swift and decisive. After she left, Ouyang Jun's expression turned gloomy once again, as his eyes flickered ferociously. The arcane realm stone was formed by the heavens and earth. Within the stone, there was a powerful arcane realm intent. After Qin Nan entered the state of martial addict, he could feel an endless arcane realm intent encapsulating him, allowing him to fully comprehend the secrets of the arcane realm. Minute subtlety, martial Tao subtlety. I've already reached minute subtlety with my saber will. With one slash, my saber will is everywhere. That's far from it. This chapter does not end, please turn the page enough. The so-called minute subtlety refers to one's martial path, one's entire strength. Love go little say netwuku, this isn't just a concept. It's also a move, a mystery of the world. Qin Nan was immersed in the magnificent will of the arcane realm. Previously, he was unable to comprehend the secrets of the arcane realm, but now, his understanding of the arcane realm had improved tremendously. 3 days passed in a flash. When the sun rose on the 4th day, the arcane realm stone in front of Qin Nan suddenly cracked, before it exploded into a cloud of dust. Qin Nan's tightly shut eyes slowly opened. After 3 days and 3 nights, with the help of this arcane realm stone, I've finally comprehended the greater success stage of the arcane realm. A smile appeared on Qin Nan's face, as he rose from the ground and took a step forward, executing the mystical 8 steps. However, unlike before, when Qin Nan executed the mystical 8 steps, it was as if he had entered a mysterious state. Each step he took was filled with a will that belonged to the mystical 8 step. When the will was unleashed, Qin Nan's speed was like a phantom, which was at least a few times faster than before. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao say www.aichuxs. So this will was none other than the arcane realm. The arcane realm of the martial skill, each and every move had entered the arcane realm. With my current strength, challenging a 3rd-layer Xiantian realm cultivator would not be a problem. Qin Nan's eyes flickered. With his 10th grade Huang-ranked martial spirit, the greater success stage of the arcane realm, and the help of the 7 great sins, he could easily defeat opponents 2 levels higher. Not to mention that he still had his strongest killing blow, the heavenly accumulating strike. Now that I've offended Ouyang Jun, he will surely use all his strength to deal with me. I wonder if Bai Heng will be hindered when he goes to the treasure vault to exchange pills. It seems like I should go there myself. Upon having this thought, Qin Nan stopped cultivating and prepared to go out. He was too poor now, thus he would not allow anything to happen to the fruit of power. However, at that instant, an icy yell could be heard coming from the entrance of the 3rd residence like a clap of thunder. Qin Nan, I'm Ling Feng, come out at once and meet me. The yell came out of nowhere, causing Qin Nan to be slightly startled. Ling Feng is here? Following this, Qin Nan collected his thoughts and frowned his eyebrows slightly. He was familiar with Ling Feng, who was ranked in the top 10 among the inner domain disciples. He was extremely ruthless, and all his enemies were killed by Ling Feng. Previously at the auction at the treasure vault, Ling Feng asked Nangong Qing to auction off the 7 great sins, which ended up being taken away by me. It seems like Ling Feng is here for the 7 great sins. Qin Nan came to a realization, and without showing any sign of fear, he took out the 7 great sins from his storage bag and walked out from the entrance. A black-shirt young man could be seen standing in front of the 3rd residence. The black-shirt young man was carrying a long saber on his back. His face was icy, like ice that would not melt for 10,000 years, with a murderous aura, causing one to shiver in fear. He was none other than Ling Feng. After seeing Qin Nan, Ling Feng glimpsed at the 7 ancient sabers on Qin Nan's back, and held his breath. His eyes were filled with a hint of murderous intent as he said in a cold tone, Qin Nan, I'm aware of your past and your identity. However, if you're willing to give me the 7 great sins, I'll spare your life. After hearing this, Qin Nan almost burst out laughing. He did not expect Ling Feng to ask for the 7 great sins in such a righteous manner, as if Ling Feng's decision was a great benefit to him. Is that so? You, Ling Feng, are ranked in the top 10 among the inner domain disciples. Your cultivation has reached the 7th layer Xiantian realm, and you have a 10th grade Huang-ranked martial spirit. It seems like you have mastered the minor success stage of the arcane realm. In terms of battle prowess, it's more than enough for you to kill me. Qin Nan used his eyes of the divine battle spirit to peek through Ling Feng's secrets, before saying in a calm tone, But, so what? Threats are the last thing I'm afraid of. After saying this, Qin Nan turned around and left, as he was too lazy to waste any more time with Ling Feng. Hold it right there. Ling Feng frowned his eyebrows after seeing Qin Nan revealing his cultivation, before he suddenly unleashed his qi and uttered a roar. His roar was like a clap of thunder exploding on the inner domain peak, startling many disciples who were cultivating in seclusion. Isn't that Ling Feng? Why is he looking for Qin Nan? TSK, this guy Ling Feng is always looking for someone to kill them. Could it be that he is planning to kill Qin Nan this time? Kami, did he eat a leopard's guts? He dares to kill Qin Nan? Many inner domain disciples were instantly attracted to the scene, as they began to discuss among themselves. Qin Nan halted his movement after seeing this, as his eyes turned colder. Chapter 173. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. P.S. There was a mistake in the previous chapter. Qin Nan was at the Xiantian first stage, while Ling Feng was at the Xiantian 7th stage. Thank you for your help in bringing it up, but it has already been uploaded and can't be changed. I hope you can forgive me, and I won't make such a low-level mistake again. T/T/T/T. 2 months later? Ling Feng and Ouyang Jun were both stunned. For a moment they did not react. The two of them had never thought that Qin Nan would make such a request. Was Qin Nan planning to improve his cultivation rapidly and defeat Ling Feng in the next 2 months? This was the biggest joke in the world. Ling Feng's cultivation was at the 7th layer Xiantian realm, which was 6 layers higher than Qin Nan's cultivation. Even though Qin Nan was an atavistic cultivator, allowing him to improve rapidly, it was impossible for him to reach the 7th layer Xiantian realm in just 2 months. Even if Qin Nan was fortunate enough to break through 6 levels in just 2 months, wouldn't Ling Feng's cultivation improve too? In other words, whether it was 2 months later or half a year later, the result would be the same. There was no way to change it. Qin Nan was completely oblivious to his own problem. He glanced at Ling Feng and sneered, "What? Don't dare to agree? If you don't dare to agree, then stop talking nonsense here and stop being arrogant here. Get the hell out of here." You. Ling Feng came back to his senses in an instant. He was so angry that he laughed. Good, as expected of Qin Nan. You're not afraid of anything. Love go little say ku in that case. Let's meet in the Hall of Life and Death in 2 months. After saying this, Ling Feng turned around and left. He didn't linger at all. As far as he was concerned, Qin Nan was extremely arrogant, sharp-tongued, and brainless. He couldn't be bothered to continue wasting his breath on Qin Nan. In any case, he had already achieved his objective, and he only had to wait quietly for 2 months before he could personally make a move and completely annihilate this arrogant and despicable person, Qin Nan. You have guts, very guts. Ouyang Jun, admire you. Ouyang Jun came back to his senses. He wasn't angry at Qin Nan's attitude at all. Instead, he laughed and gave Qin Nan a thumbs up. Qin Nan didn't even look at Ouyang Jun as he left and returned to the 3rd courtyard. Seeing Qin Nan ignore him, Ouyang Jun's expression instantly became gloomy. However, when he thought about how Qin Nan only had 2 months to live, his expression became much better. He coldly laughed a few times and then turned to leave. Only the hundreds of disciples gathered in the 3rd courtyard and the outer sect elders in the distance looked at each other, not daring to say a word. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the news of Ling Feng challenging Qin Nan to a duel at the Hall of Life and Death in 2 months spread to the ears of everyone in the Xianling clan. Love go little say, netku there was an uproar in the various sections. F***K? Did I F***King hear it wrong? Qin Nan challenged Ling Feng to a duel? Yeah, I heard that Ouyang Jun is supporting Ling Feng, which is why Ling Feng challenged Qin Nan. Qin Nan didn't accept the challenge at all, and immediately challenged Ling Feng to a duel at the Hall of Life and Death in 2 months' time. F***Kami, is there something wrong with Qin Nan's F***King brain? TSK, I'm more curious why Ouyang Jun is picking on Qin Nan. Countless discussions took place in the Xianling clan. Despite having the same rank of martial spirits, Qin Nan challenged Ling Feng, who had a cultivation of the first layer Xiantian realm, to a 7th layer Xiantian realm cultivator. How was this any different from committing suicide? What kind of trump card did Qin Nan have that gave him the confidence to challenge Ling Feng to a duel? Most importantly, Ouyang Jun was supporting Ling Feng to deal with Qin Nan. Many of the elders of the Xianling clan were aware of Ouyang Jun's background. What was Ouyang Jun trying to achieve by doing this? Could it be that Ouyang Jun's father was going to challenge the two elders behind Qin Nan? Although the elders were confused, none of them dared to ask about it. Although the duel between Qin Nan and Ling Feng was only a duel between disciples, it involved the sect leader of the Xianling clan, the Great Elder, and the Honorable Elder who had just joined the clan, a total of 3 martial ancestor realm experts. If they were not careful enough, they would be dragged into the maelstrom and be crushed into pieces. Meanwhile, in the 3rd residence there was an extra person. The person was none other than Gong Yang. Gong Yang blurted out angrily after seeing Qin Nan, "I told you about Ouyang Jun last time, how did you offend him this time? Most importantly, you dare to challenge Ling Feng to a duel? Could it be that you don't want to live anymore?" This time, Gong Yang was truly furious. Initially, he was quite impressed with Qin Nan's fearless personality, but Qin Nan still dared to challenge Ling Feng to a duel in 2 months when there was such a huge difference between their strengths. Such an idiotic behavior. Qin Nan let out a smile and said, "Brother Yang, don't be mad. Ouyang Jun is trying to pick on me. How can I back off now? Besides, it's just a duel with Ling Feng, it's not as easy as you think. What kind of chance do you have?" Gong Yang's expression turned unpleasant. "Qin Nan, I'm telling you, don't be so reckless. He has a 10th grade Huang-ranked martial spirit, and so do you. With the same martial spirit, you won't be able to gain any advantage. Besides, his strength is at the 7th layer Xiantian realm. Even if you are an atavistic cultivator, it's impossible for you to level up 6 layers in just 2 months, right? Besides, while you were leveling up, Ling Feng's cultivation was improving too. Don't tell me you don't understand such simple logic?" Qin Nan listened to Gong Yang's scolding in silence. Instead of feeling embarrassed, his heart was filled with warmth. Since he had met Gong Yang, it had always been Gong Yang helping him and caring for him. After Gong Yang finished, Qin Nan straightened his face and said, "Brother Yang, can you listen to me?" "Sure, go ahead." Gong Yang's tone was firm, as his anger had yet to dissipate. In everyone's opinion, challenging Ling Feng to a duel is the same as committing suicide. However, in my opinion, it's because it's impossible that I'm challenging him. Only by challenging Ling Feng will I feel the pressure of life and death. With this pressure, I'll be able to improve myself and work 10 times harder than before. If I don't challenge Ling Feng, I'll spend the next 1 or 2 years cultivating alone in peace. How is that any different from a mortal's life? Qin Nan's tone was calm as he explained tirelessly. Gong Yang's expression did not change as he scoffed coldly. This is how the martial world is. Cultivating slowly isn't just about luck and perseverance, it's also about cultivating loneliness. If you can't even cultivate loneliness, you're immortal to begin with. You're right. Qin Nan nodded and said in a low voice, however, everyone's Tao is different. Since Ling Feng dares to challenge me, why should I fear him? I'm going to challenge him no matter what. Furthermore, the martial world is cruel to begin with. 2 months later, if I am defeated, then he will step on my head and shine brightly, achieving success and recognition. If I win in 2 months' time, I'll step on his head and charge for the number 1 spot in the outer sect. Step by step, I'll complete my path to becoming an expert. In the martial world, the birth of every expert is accompanied by countless corpses. Gong Yang stared with his eyes open wide. He felt that there was something wrong with Qin Nan's words, but he had no idea what the problem was. thus he could not refute it. After a while, Gong Yang let out a deep sigh. Although he did not agree with Qin Nan's words, he could sense the pride that belonged to Qin Nan from them. Such pride was not to be blasphemed. Since you've made up your mind, I won't say anything further. I only have one request: don't lose in 2 months' time, Gong Yang said in a soft tone as he stood up and prepared to leave. Wait! Qin Nan suddenly called out to Gong Yang. Gong Yang halted in his tracks and turned around with a confused expression. Brother Yang, I haven't finished my sentence. Qin Nan let out a sigh and calmly said, The reason why I took the initiative to challenge him is because a mere Ling Feng is not qualified to defeat me. The words were the real pride, a pride that originated from his soul. Chapter 174. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with interesting novels to read. After Gong Yang left, Qin Nan did not cultivate at all. He unleashed the divine battle spirit and cultivated rapidly. He had already agreed to duel with Ling Feng at the Hall of Life and Death, and there were only 2 months left. Therefore, he had to cultivate crazily in these 2 months to increase his cultivation and obtain the victory. However, not long after he started cultivating, Bai Heng finally returned. As soon as Bai Heng entered the residence, he took out 50 jade jars and said, Young Master Qin Nan, the 5 fruits of power were exchanged for 4,000 martial emperor pills. 4,000 martial emperor pills? Not bad. Qin Nan's eyes flickered with a hint of joy, as he immediately stored all the pills into his bag. Bai Heng hesitated for a moment before he asked in a soft voice, By the way, young Master Qin Nan, about the duel between you and Ling Feng. Don't worry, there won't be any problems. Qin Nan waved his hand and said with a smile, I'm running out of time, so I won't be wasting any more time. Sure. Bai Heng immediately left the place, without any sign of worry on his face. For Bai Heng, Qin Nan was already like a god in his eyes. In the duel with Ling Feng in 2 months, Qin Nan would surely win, thus he was not worried at all. After Bai Heng left, Qin Nan sat down with his legs crossed and took out the 50 jars of martial emperor pills. Love go little say ku, the first time the divine battle spirit leveled up, it consumed 100 body-tempering pills. When it leveled up from 7th grade Huang ranked to 8th grade Huang ranked, it consumed 500 body-tempering pills. When it leveled up from 8th grade Huang ranked to 9th grade Huang ranked, it consumed a few hundred Xiantian pills. When it leveled up to 10th grade Huang ranked, it consumed a few thousand Xiantian pills. Although leveling up to a Xian-ranked martial spirit is a huge leap, these 3,000 martial emperor pills should be enough. The only worrying thing is that it took 10,000 martial emperor pills to awaken the eyes of the divine battle spirit. I hope that I won't need so many pills this time. Qin Nan took a deep breath and immediately emptied the jars of martial emperor pills into his mouth. The divine battle spirit shuddered slightly, before a mystical absorption force burst out and absorbed all the power of the martial emperor pill. At that instant, Qin Nan seemed to have turned into a puppet, continuously consuming pills. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Qin Nan's actions finally stopped when he swallowed the 3,800 beads. A trace of cold sweat appeared on his forehead, and a rare trace of panic appeared on his face. This was because the divine battle spirit did not show any reaction after consuming 3,800 martial emperor pills. The last 200 martial emperor pills I must break through. Qin Nan clenched his teeth. His heart was filled with nervousness. Qin Nan had never felt this way when he challenged Ling Feng to a duel or when he was facing Ouyang Jun. The main reason was that he was too poor. If the divine battle spirit did not level up after consuming the last 200 martial emperor pills, he would have to find a way to get more pills. Qin Nan closed his eyes and picked up the last 200 martial emperor pills and emptied them into his mouth. After a while, the divine battle spirit showed no reaction, like a stone sinking into the ocean. No breakthrough. Qin Nan's eyes were filled with disappointment, before he let out a wry smile. Now that he was broke, it seemed like he had to find a way to get more martial emperor pills. With enough martial emperor pills, the divine battle spirit would level up to a Xian-ranked martial spirit, which would allow his cultivation to improve rapidly in 2 months, allowing him to defeat Ling Feng. At that instant a childish voice could be heard. "Oh my, as expected of my servant. How courageous of you to challenge a 9th-layer Xiantian realm existence when you're only at the 4th-layer Xiantian realm. Not bad, such courage. It seems like I'll have to change my servant in 2 months." The words were filled with a gloating tone. The person was none other than the elusive Princess Miao Miao. After seeing Princess Miao Miao, Qin Nan ignored her sarcasm, as his eyes glistened as if he had seen hope, and said in a rough tone, "Princess, can I borrow some pills?" Princess Miao Miao had robbed the hall leaders and elders, and acquired 80 crystalline flowers. She had also fought against a martial ancestor realm beast at Autumn Mountain to acquire a treasure. During the trial of the martial serendipity pavilion, she had won a huge sum of pills from the trading alliance. She was definitely a rich person. If Princess Miao Miao was willing to lend him some pills, Qin Nan was confident that his divine battle spirit would rank up to a Xian-ranked martial spirit. Princess Miao Miao's face sank after hearing this, as she curled her lips and said, "I'm very poor now, extremely poor. As a servant, you should be grateful that I'm not causing you any trouble if you don't hand over your pills." Qin Nan's face sank. He did not expect Princess Miao Miao to be so stingy, being so stingy at such a crucial moment. Extremely poor? Are you kidding me? Forget it if you don't have any pills. Qin Nan closed his eyes and said in a cold tone, "I'm going to start cultivating now." "Princess, please do as you wish." Princess Miao Miao was not bothered by Qin Nan's anger, as she said with a smile, "Although I'm very poor, extremely poor, I do have a great way to get you 80,000 martial emperor pills. 100,000 martial emperor pills is a piece of cake." Qin Nan raised his eyelids and let out a laugh. "Thank you, Princess, but I don't need your method." Qin Nan had never liked to ask for help. Since Princess Miao Miao was not willing to give him the pills, he did not want to waste any more time talking to Princess Miao Miao. "Are you sure you don't want to listen? Let me tell you, once I use my method, the effect will be very obvious. It won't be a problem to get the pills. Besides, as my servant, you are about to have a life-and-death battle with someone else. As your master, it's my responsibility to let you win. Besides, listen to my method, it won't hurt you in any way." Princess Miao Miao tried her best to persuade him. After seeing her attitude, Qin Nan hesitated for a moment before saying, "If that's the case, go ahead. Wash your ears clean and listen carefully. This princess's method is very simple. You only need to write an IOU, then deliver this IOU to every outer sect elder, inner sect elder, and every palace master. Why do you need to do this? You have to know that you are now this princess's servant, and also that old fellow's disciple in name. Others are wary of your background, and even if they are very unhappy, they will still lend you the pills. Don't you think so?" Princess Miao Miao finished her words in a single breath, as her eyes glistened. "You mean your method?" Qin Nan was dumbfounded. Princess Miao Miao's method, to put it nicely, was borrowing. But to put it bluntly, it was robbery. Qin Nan was already very poor. Now that he was borrowing pills from the entire sect, how was he going to pay them back? Princess Miao Miao glanced at him and said, "This method is not bad. It's just borrowing, not robbery. You can pay them back when the time comes. Back then, I used this method to borrow a lot of pills from the hall leader of the punishment hall and that elder." When she said this, Princess Miao Miao spoke in a righteous tone. Qin Nan's mouth twitched. Today, he had renewed his understanding of Princess Meow Meow. From what I remember, you've never taken the initiative to help others. Tell me honestly, what's your purpose? Qin Nan had yet to make up his mind, as he glanced at Princess Meow Meow with a suspicious look. Since when did Princess Meow Meow become so kind? What do you mean? Princess Meow Meow glared at him angrily. I have always been very good to people. Otherwise, have you forgotten who saved you a few times? Hearing this, Qin Nan fell silent. He had to admit that there were a few times when he relied on Princess Meow Meow's help to get through the crisis. I will think about it myself. Qin Nan took a deep breath, closed his eyes and thought carefully. Seeing his reaction, the anger on Princess Meow Meow's face instantly dissipated, and her eyes flickered with a hint of cunning. P.S. The Divine Battle Spirit is about to level up, so it must need new abilities. Everyone can post in the circle of readers and say whatever you want. I will choose 3 readers, and reward them with 10,000 mooncakes, 5,000 mooncakes, and 1,000 mooncake. I hope everyone will participate and discuss the new abilities of the Divine Battle Spirit. Chapter 175. Genius remembers love go 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 little in 1 second? SageNet, providing you with interesting novels to read. Qin Nan has consumed the fruit of power and is currently at the 2nd layer Xiantian realm, while Lung Feng is at the 7th layer Xiantian realm. I'm sorry, I was too careless yesterday, making 2 mistakes in a row. I apologize to everyone. Love go little say ku if you make the same mistake again, I'll update. 21/1/1. In a small residence in the disciplinary hall, Xiao Lung and Chu Yun sat opposite each other, with martial spirits floating behind them, absorbing qi and cultivating. Since Qin Nan had passed the first level of the martial serendipity pavilion, they were greatly pressured, thus they immediately went into seclusion to improve their cultivations. However, at that instant a petite figure appeared all of a sudden. Who's there? Xiao Lung and Chu Yun were shocked, as they opened their eyes and glanced toward the figure. They were stunned after taking a glimpse. The figure was none other than Princess Meow Meow. Princess Meow Meow smiled and took out a piece of parchment. This is a letter from Qin Nan. A letter? Xiao Lung and Chu Yun were confused. They knew who Princess Meow Meow was, but they were confused. What was so important about Qin Nan that he would bother her? Puzzled, the two of them stretched out their hands and opened the letter. When they saw the contents of the letter, both of them were stunned. What's this? Borrowing pills? A moment later, in the conference hall of the disciplinary hall. The leader of the disciplinary hall sat at the leading position, while the elders of the disciplinary hall rose from their seats and reported the happenings of the disciplinary hall in the past month. At that instant, a petite figure suddenly appeared at the center of the hall. The elders were stunned. Who is this person, daring to barge into our conference hall? The palace master of the punishment palace flew into a rage. However, when he saw the petite figure, his face instantly froze. He then squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying. Princess, you. Why have you come? For the leader of the disciplinary hall, Princess Meow Meow was like a nightmare to him. He had no intention of seeing her again. The other elders immediately collected their thoughts after hearing the name of the leader. The only person who could be referred to as a princess in the Xianling clan was the legendary honorable elder of the Xianling clan. This caused all of them to shudder. This person wouldn't visit a temple without a reason. Her arrival was definitely not a good thing. Oh, everyone is here? That's great. Princess Meow Meow said with squinted eyes. I'm here to deliver a letter on behalf of my servant Qin Nan. A love go little say W Chu. After hearing this, the crowd's eyes. She brought a letter on behalf of Qin Nan. What letter did Qin Nan write that could prompt Princess Miao Miao to deliver it? Princess Miao Miao waved her hand, and countless letters fell into the hands of the crowd like butterflies. The crowd subconsciously opened the letters in their hands, and their expressions stiffened. The corners of their mouths couldn't help but twitch. Loan note? Borrow pills? Qin Nan had written a letter just to borrow their pills? After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Princess Miao Miao's figure arrived at the skills library. After another incense stick's worth of time, she arrived at the rare treasure hall, followed by the Hall of Merit and the Hall of Life and Death. In less than an hour, Princess Miao Miao arrived at 5 of the 6 halls of the Xianling clan. In these 5 halls, she only did one thing, which was to deliver the letters on behalf of her servant Qin Nan. Furthermore, the contents of each letter were the same: to borrow pills. At that instant, the people of the 5 great halls were dumbfounded. Regardless of whether they were disciples or elders, it was their first time witnessing a person asking a martial ancestor realm expert to deliver a letter just so he could borrow pills from them. Furthermore, to borrow pills from all of them. Meanwhile, at the outer domain peak, at the outer domain dojo, the disciples were sitting with their legs crossed, unleashing their martial spirits and taking root in the heavens and earth, as they continued their daily cultivation. Among these disciples, there were quite a few familiar faces of Qin Nan, such as Xiao Yunhe, Luo Jianhao, Wang Chu, etc. However, these people were not as famous as Qin Nan, who was only an outer disciple. However, at that instant, Princess Miao Miao's figure flew toward them from a distance and yelled, "Disciples, wake up at once! I'm the Honorable Elder of the Xianling clan. I'm here on behalf of Qin Nan to announce something important." The words awakened the outer domain disciples at the scene. Xiao Yunhe, Luo Jianhao, Wang Chu, and some of the disciples who had participated in the trial of versatility were stunned. The other outer domain disciples would only feel shocked and respectful after hearing the name Qin Nan. However, after witnessing Qin Nan creating a legend step by step, they were utterly impressed by Qin Nan. This was the reason why they were stunned, as they had no idea why Qin Nan, who was so far away from them, was looking for them. Princess Miao Miao said in a loud voice, "Here is a letter written by Qin Nan for you all. Now all of you, take a good look." After saying this, she waved her hand, causing countless letters made of sheepskin to descend from the sky like a rain of letters. The outer domain disciples were startled. From the looks of it, something serious must have happened, causing Qin Nan to write letters to each of them in person. However, when they eagerly opened the letter, everyone was dumbfounded. What the hell is this? Qin Nan wrote letters to the Honorable Elder just to borrow pills from each of them? Inner Domain Peak. Since Qin Nan's arrival, the atmosphere of the Inner Domain Peak had changed tremendously, as everyone was immersed in their cultivation. In the 627th residence, De Hu sat with his legs crossed and breathed deeply, causing his qi to surge. Since he had returned from the martial serendipity pavilion, he had witnessed Qin Nan's rise, crushing the geniuses. His cultivation had reached the Xiantian realm, allowing him to become an inner domain disciple. Currently, De Hu was busy cultivating. He did not expect to catch up to Qin Nan, but he hoped that his achievements would not disappoint him. However, at that instant, a pleasant voice could be heard, "Hi, there's a letter for you." Following this, in the 583rd residence, Mo Zishan, Su Yu, and Huang Long stood in the middle of the residence. Auras of the Xiantian realm were emitted from their bodies as they stood facing one another. A battle was about to take place. Since they had returned from the martial serendipity pavilion, the 3 of them had become close friends, thus they were here to spar with one another. As the battle was about to take place, a pleasant voice could be heard, "Hi, Qin Nan has written a letter for you all, please check it." The sudden change gave Mo Zishan, Su Yu, and Huang Long a great shock, as their qi almost went out of control, causing their cultivation to go berserk. On this day, the entire Xianling clan was destined to be restless. A little girl, who claimed to be the Honorable Elder, carried a letter written by Qin Nan from the outer domain peak to the inner domain peak, to the outer elders, and finally to the inner disciples, and handed the letter to everyone. Regardless of whether it was the insignificant disciples of the Xianling clan, the famous geniuses of the Xianling clan, or the elders with great authority. They all received a letter, which was written by Qin Nan. There was only one thing written in the letter, which was to borrow pills. Finally, one of the top 4 sects of the Luaha kingdom was shocked by a single letter. Chapter 176. Genius remembers love in 1 second divided by little? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Xianling Clan, Outer Disciple. F***K. It's my first time encountering such a weird thing. So are you going to lend me your pills? Damn it, Qin Nan is borrowing pills from the entire sect, and I'm afraid he has no intention of returning them. F***K. I'm planning to lend them anyway, just 1 or 2,000 Xiantian pills will do. If not, what if Qin Nan hates me? Forget it, I'll give them to him too. I won't ask him to return them, as long as he doesn't trouble me. Xianling Clan, Inner Disciple. What the F***K is this? Ha, this Qin Nan is so interesting, daring to borrow pills from the entire sect. I like him. If that's the case, I'll lend him 1,000 Xiantian pills. I'm not his friend, but considering his background, I'll lend him 100 or 200 pills. This Qin Nan is such a genius, I'm not sure how many pills he will get. Since he doesn't need to return them, no one will ask him to do so. Gong Yang glanced at the surrounding disciples, and glanced at the sheepskin letter in his hand, and wore an expression of not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Meanwhile, the elders of the Xianling clan began to discuss among themselves. Second brother, are you going to lend them? Lend my ass, young Master Jun wants to deal with him. I'm not going to lend him any pills. This young man is not bad, I'll lend him some Martial Emperor pills. I'll lend him some, just to show my sincerity. Among the elders, the third elder of the inner disciples, Mo Qing, stared at the sheepskin letter in his hand with a dull expression. He did not expect Qin Nan to be so shameless, to borrow pills from him. Meanwhile, the main character of the pill-borrowing incident, Qin Nan was sitting at the third residence, staring at Princess Miao Miao. Princess Miao Miao smilingly said, "What a surprise, my servant has such a great reputation to be able to borrow so many pills." How many? Qin Nan held his breath. Although he wasn't willing to follow Princess Miao Miao's method, due to the cruel reality, he could only borrow pills from others in order for his divine battle spirit to break through to a Xian-ranked martial spirit. Love go little say Netuchu. Of course, Qin Nan had long since sworn in his heart that he would definitely return all of these pills one by one. Because he didn't like to owe people favors. A total of 500,000 Martial Emperor pills. Princess Miao Miao said with a shocking tone. What? 500,000 Martial Emperor pills? Qin Nan's face was filled with astonishment as his eyes widened. Why are there so many? Logically speaking, it's impossible to borrow so much. Princess Miao Miao glanced at Qin Nan proudly and said, I've borrowed 100,000 pills from Old Shan, and 20,000 pills from each of the hall leaders, which is 200,000 pills. And those inner disciples' elders and outer disciples' elders, under my charm, I've borrowed a total of 100,000 pills. Among them, Elder Zhang Tai, who brought you all to the Martial Serendipity Pavilion last time, gave you 30,000 pills. And that inner disciple with the name Gong Yang. Qin Nan's expression changed tremendously. Initially, the plan between him and Princess Miao Miao was for Princess Miao Miao to borrow some pills from the outer disciples, inner disciples, and outer disciples' elders. It would be considered a success if she was able to borrow 20,000 Martial Emperor pills. However, Princess Miao Miao did not follow his plan. Instead, she borrowed from old Shan, the hall leaders, the inner disciples' elders, etc. Qin Nan was so angry that he almost vomited blood, unable to say a single word. Love Go Xiao Say W Chu. According to Princess Miao Miao's actions, what would old Shan, the hall leaders, and the elders think of him? What about me? Princess Miao Miao cast a side glance at him, and said in a cold tone, "Why would I have such a stupid servant like you? This princess has been running around tirelessly for you. I don't know how much precious time I've spent to get these pills for you. Now you actually want to criticize this princess? Don't you know that if you have enough medicinal pills, you should return the rest of the medicinal pills?" This, Qin Nan was startled. Princess Miao Miao was right. If he only used 50,000 Martial Emperor pills to level up his divine battle spirit, he could return the rest of the pills. "I'm sorry, I misunderstood you." Qin Nan's expression turned calm as he said in a sincere tone. Princess Miao Miao had indeed helped him a lot in lending the pills. "Humph, that's more like it." Princess Miao Miao raised her chin and said with a twinkle in her eyes, "Qin Nan, I've worked so hard for you, and even helped you come up with a plan. I have a small request, can you do it?" Qin Nan's expression changed instantly as he said, "No, these 500,000 pills are all borrowed, and I still have to return them when the time comes. I can't give them to you." After seeing his reaction, Princess Miao Miao snapped, "If I don't want your pills, why would I want them?" Qin Nan did not believe her at all, as his eyes were filled with alertness as he said, "What's your request?" "It's simple." Princess Miao Miao glanced at Qin Nan from head to toe, and said with a smile, "If I'm not mistaken, the reason you borrowed so many pills is because of your martial spirit, right? You accepted Ling Feng's challenge because of your martial spirit, right? Therefore, my request is simple, I want to see what you're planning to do with these pills." This was Princess Miao Miao's intention. Before she regained her human form, she could already sense the terrifying power of the divine battle spirit inside Qin Nan's body. After she regained her human form and was prepared to compete with the divine battle spirit, she realized that the martial spirit inside Qin Nan's body was more terrifying than she had imagined. As such, Princess Miao Miao was extremely curious about what Qin Nan was planning to do with his martial spirit with so many pills. Qin Nan's expression instantly turned cold after hearing this, as he said in a cold tone, "That's impossible. Even if I don't take a single pill from these 500,000 pills, I will never agree to your request." If it were any other request, Qin Nan would still consider it, but he would never agree to Princess Miao Miao's request. The divine battle spirit was his biggest secret, especially the fact that the divine battle spirit was able to increase the rank of his martial spirit by consuming pills. This was an even bigger secret. His relationship with Princess Miao Miao was only a cooperative one. Even if they were close friends, he would never tell her the secrets of the divine battle spirit. Princess Miao Miao was enraged after seeing his firm attitude. "Fine, I won't give you the pills, stingy bastard." As she was about to teach Qin Nan a lesson, she threw the storage bag onto the ground after seeing his expression, and left in a huff. Qin Nan was slightly startled after seeing this. He initially thought that Princess Miao Miao would be furious after he rejected her request, but nothing happened. "Thanks." Qin Nan glanced at the empty residence and uttered a groan. After a while, he went up to the storage bag and received it. 500,000 Martial Emperor pills, I hope you won't let me down." Qin Nan activated his eyes of the divine battle spirit and scanned his surroundings. After confirming that no one was spying on him, he took a deep breath and took out all the pills from the storage bag. At that instant, a brilliant light was emitted as qi was emitted. Chapter 177. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. 500,000 Marshall Emperor pills formed a small hill in front of Qin Nan, emitting a mystical glow, resulting in an attractive sight. Qin Nan unleashed the divine battle spirit and grabbed a few hundred Marshall Emperor pills at his fastest speed, stuffing them into his mouth crazily, so fast that his hands turned into blurry shadows. 1,000 Marshall Emperor pills. 3,000 Marshall Emperor pills. 8,000 Marshall Emperor pills. In less than the time it took for an incense to burn, Qin Nan had consumed a total of 20,000 Marshall Emperor pills. However, what caused Qin Nan's heart to ache was that the divine battle spirit showed no reaction. Keep going. Keep going. It was as if Qin Nan had entered the state of a martial addict, as if he had gone mad, repeating the same action over and over again. He opened his mouth and grabbed handfuls of pills at his fastest speed, stuffing them into his mouth like a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey. 30,000 Marshall Emperor pills. 50,000 Marshall Emperor pills. 70,000 Marshall Emperor pills. When Qin Nan's mouth was numb and his right hand was tired, he had consumed a total of 100,000 Marshall Emperor pills. He could only consume a little over 100 Marshall Emperor pills at a time, and it was extremely difficult for him to do so. Among the 100,000 Marshall Emperor pills, he had consumed almost 100 times. 100,000 Marshall Emperor pills, a total of 100,000 Marshall Emperor pills, and the divine battle spirit still hasn't leveled up. For the first time, Qin Nan stopped his actions, as his face was filled with disappointment and pain. That's a total of 100,000 Marshall Emperor pills, which is equivalent to 10 million Xiantian pills if converted into Xiantian pills. Even with such a huge amount of pills, the divine battle spirit still hasn't leveled up? I would like to see how many pills are needed to level up a Xian-ranked martial spirit. Qin Nan clenched his teeth with a hideous expression, like a mad beast. He began to move again. His hands were like lightning, and his mouth was like a bloody basin, as he crazily devoured countless Marshall Emperor pills. 130,000 Marshall Emperor pills. 160,000 Marshall Emperor pills. 200,000 Marshall Emperor pills. The divine battle spirit remained motionless. Qin Nan didn't stop and continued to consume pills. 250,000 Marshall Emperor pills. 290,000 Marshall Emperor pills. 360,000 Marshall Emperor pills. 400,000 Marshall Emperor pills. As Qin Nan devoured a total of 450,000 Marshall Emperor pills, the divine battle spirit behind him suddenly vibrated vigorously, causing the 10 golden rays to become extremely brilliant, as if it was about to break through its limit and transform into a powerful presence. Qin Nan's heart trembled. Judging from this situation, the divine battle spirit was about to evolve into a Xian-ranked martial spirit. However, the divine battle spirit only trembled for a period of a few hundred breaths' time, before returning to its usual calm state. Nothing out of the ordinary happened. He hasn't advanced yet? Qin Nan was slightly stunned. His heart seemed to have suffered a heavy blow, and there was a kind of oppressive feeling. He had consumed a total of 450,000 Marshall Emperor pills, which was equivalent to 45 million Xiantian pills. How could he not level up after consuming such a huge amount of pills? In the past, Qin Nan had only spent 100 body-tempering pills to upgrade the divine battle spirit from a 5th-grade Huang-ranked martial spirit to a 6th-grade Huang-ranked martial spirit. The price he had to pay now was 45 million times more than the previous price. The last 50,000 Martial Emperor pills. This time I must succeed. After a while, Qin Nan collected his thoughts and exhaled deeply. His gaze became firm as he once again grabbed the pills and shoved them into his mouth. 460,000 pills. 470,000 pills, 490,000 pills, 499,900 pills. Qin Nan's forehead was covered in a layer of cold sweat. His hand, which was holding the last 100 Martial Emperor pills, began to tremble slightly. He finally clenched his teeth and swallowed the last 100 Martial Emperor pills into his stomach. At that instant, the divine battle spirit shuddered violently, emitting a yellow glow and emitting an aura. Finally, I'm going to level up. The pressure in Qin Nan's heart was relieved, as a joyful expression appeared on his face. However, the strange state of the divine battle spirit lasted for a period of over 500 breaths' time, before it gradually returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. What's going on? Qin Nan was dumbfounded. 500,000 Martial Emperor pills, which was equivalent to 50 million Xiantian pills, was not enough to level up the divine battle spirit? Could it be that the divine battle spirit was unable to level up to a Xian-ranked martial spirit? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Qin Nan mumbled to himself for a while, before he gradually collected his thoughts and said, "Impossible, the divine battle spirit is extremely powerful, it's impossible for it to level up to a Xian-ranked martial spirit." The only explanation is that 500,000 Martial Emperor pills are not enough for the divine battle spirit to level up to a Xian-ranked martial spirit. In Qin Nan's heart, he absolutely believed that the divine battle spirit could level up to a Xian-ranked martial spirit. Not only that, it could level up to the legendary Tian-ranked martial spirit, or even surpass the Tian-ranked martial spirit. The only thing that bothered him was that if 500,000 Martial Emperor pills were not enough to level up the divine battle spirit, how many pills would it take to level up to a Xian-ranked martial spirit? Although the divine battle spirit is powerful, the amount of pills needed to level it up is too huge. A wry smile appeared on Qin Nan's face. He had only managed to borrow 500,000 Martial Emperor pills from everyone in the Xianling clan. Where was he going to find another 500,000 Martial Emperor pills? Although the divine battle spirit did not need 500,000 Martial Emperor pills to level up to a Xian-ranked martial spirit, he was currently broke. He could not even afford a single Martial Emperor pill. No, I have to level up the divine battle spirit to a Xian-ranked martial spirit. I have to succeed this time, I have to think of a way to earn money. Qin Nan calmed his thoughts and frowned his eyebrows as he began to ponder. After pondering for a while, he still could not come up with any ideas. After all, he was not good at business. The easiest way would be to borrow from others, such as Old Shan and Gong Yang. Or he could learn from the 5 tyrannical tigers and rob the disciples of the Xianling clan. That way, he would be able to get his hands on Martial Emperor pills. However, Qin Nan was not willing to do either of those. Forget it, I shouldn't think too much. If there's no other way, I'll have to borrow from Old Shan. I'll give the chance to Old Shan. Qin Nan shook his head, and as he was about to rise from the ground, a sudden thought came to his mind as he mumbled, "Ouyang Jun and the others tried to provoke me last time. This time, I'll give them a taste of their own medicine." A smile appeared on Qin Nan's face. He had always been a vengeful person. Now that he had come up with a plan, there was no way he would let Ouyang Jun and the others go. Inner Domain Peak at the first residence. Ouyang Jun sat at the leading position in the hall. Below him was Ling Feng. Recently, this Qin Nan asked the Honorable Elder to borrow pills from the entire sect on his behalf. What is he planning to do? Ling Feng frowned his eyebrows and said, "Could it be that he is trying to learn some terrifying secret technique that requires a huge amount of pills?" Although many disciples assumed Ling Feng to be ruthless, the truth was that Ling Feng was extremely cautious. This time, they only used a simple provocation to lure Qin Nan into a duel at the Hall of Life and Death in 2 months' time, which confused Lung Feng greatly. Qin Nan would not be that stupid, daring to accept the duel when he knew he was going to die for sure. This Qin Nan must have some kind of trump card, which was why he dared to act so scornfully. Ouyang Jun glanced at Ling Feng and said with a calm smile, "What are you afraid of? He is borrowing pills from the entire sect. Who cares what his goal is? Why should we worry about it? Don't worry, I've already spoken to the leader of the Hall of Fame. You can cultivate with me in the heavenly room of the Mingyue Pavilion for 2 months. In these 2 months, with the help of some herbs, although it's not enough for you to level up to the half-martial emperor realm, it should be enough for you to reach the 9th layer Xiantian realm." The heavenly room of the Mingyue Pavilion? Lung Feng was overjoyed after hearing this, as his doubts disappeared. He then brought his fists together and said, "Thank you, Ouyang." Before he could finish his words, a whooshing sound could be heard as a sheepskin scroll flew through the air toward the signboard in the hall. "How bold of you!" Ouyang Jun was instantly enraged, as he took a step forward and grabbed the scroll. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. He had always thought highly of himself, placing great importance on the difference of status. As the top outer disciple, the son of the sect leader, no one had ever dared to treat him with such disdain. One must know that even the elders of the sect would have to pass on the message respectfully, fearing that they would offend the other party in any way. Ling Feng was stunned too. It was his first time seeing someone being so bold. "Lung Feng, get ready to kill." Ouyang Jun withheld his anger and prepared to open the letter with an expressionless face. He could not wait to see who was so bold. However, after opening the scroll, Ouyang Jun was dumbfounded. The following words were written on it. "Ouyang Jun, Ling Feng, to be honest, I'm currently in need of pills. I'm hoping that you 2 geniuses can lend me some. I know that you 2 are geniuses, and Ouyang Jun is the son of the sect leader, who is extremely wealthy. I believe you can easily lend me 100,000 martial emperor pills. If you can't even afford 100,000 martial emperor pills, then I've misjudged you. I did not expect the super geniuses Ling Feng and Ouyang Jun, the son of the sect leader of the Xianling clan, to be so poor. What a pity. Of course, don't worry, I'll definitely return the pills when I'm rich enough. Loner, Qin Nan." Chapter 178. Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second Divided by Small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Preposterous. Preposterous. After reading the letter, Ouyang Jun's veins began to pop out on his forehead. What is this Qin Nan trying to do? How dare he treat 100,000 martial emperor pills like 100,000 body tempering pills? Even for Ouyang Jun, as the son of the sect leader, the amount of martial emperor pills he could receive was limited. It would be painful for him to take out 100,000 martial emperor pills at once. After reading the letter, Ling Feng's eyes turned cold and he said, "Senior brother Ouyang, don't be mad. I believe this guy purposely wrote this letter to provoke us." Humph! Ouyang Jun's face turned dark as a flame was ignited in his hand, burning the letter into ashes, before he said with a hollow laugh, "If he purposely wants to provoke me and borrow my pills, I'll lend them to him." Lend him martial emperor pills? Lend him 100,000 pills? Lung Feng was shocked after hearing this. Ouyang Jun let out a disdainful laugh and said, "How could it be martial emperor pills? In his dreams, a single body-tempering pill is more than enough for him." Not long after Qin Nan delivered the letter, a piercing sound could be heard as a jade jar flew toward him. Pills? This Ouyang Jun is really lending me pills? Qin Nan was slightly startled, before he reached out his hand and grabbed the jade jar, opening it. As soon as the lid was opened, Qin Nan immediately saw a body-tempering pill lying inside the jade jar. Trying to humiliate me with a single body-tempering pill? Hee hee, I don't care about that. Even if it's a body-tempering pill, it's still a pill. Qin Nan let out a smile as he took out the body-tempering pill and placed it into his mouth. Since he had acquired the divine battle spirit, he had been very frugal with his pills, not wasting any of them. As the power of the body-tempering pill was devoured by the divine battle spirit, Qin Nan immediately took a step forward and prepared to find old Shan to borrow more pills to level up the divine battle spirit. However, at this moment, something unexpected happened to Qin Nan. 10 golden rays were emitted all of a sudden, as the divine battle spirit appeared on its own, floating in midair. Qin Nan was slightly taken aback. The 10 golden rays became incredibly brilliant, as an ancient suppression burst out from the divine battle spirit. It felt like the faint sound of an ancient melody could be heard. Boom! A loud explosion took place in the entire third residence. From the divine battle spirit's forehead, face, neck, shoulders, arms, chest, abdomen, and from top to bottom, streams of mysterious green light burst out continuously, as if it had just broken out of its shell. The 10 rays of yellow light suddenly shattered and were replaced by a ray of green light. This is a martial spirit that has advanced to the profound grade? When Qin Nan saw this, he was completely dumbfounded. He never thought that the body-tempering pill he had consumed would actually allow the divine battle spirit to break through. As a matter of fact, Qin Nan did not know that when he had consumed 500,000 martial emperor pills, the divine battle spirit had experienced 2 strange phenomena. The first time was when the divine battle spirit had consumed half of the pills. The second time was when the divine battle spirit had fully accumulated the power of the pills, and was only a little bit away from leveling up. Therefore, the body-tempering pill that Qin Nan had consumed was able to cause the divine battle spirit to level up directly. Bang! 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 A series of explosions took place once again, like a series of explosions in the clear sky. The divine battle spirit's body, which was emitting a green light, seemed to have absorbed an endless amount of energy and instantly expanded. Its body, which was originally only 3 zhang tall, suddenly expanded to a height of 8 zhang tall, which was double its original size. If one were to look at it from afar, the divine battle spirit would look like a mini-giant. Love go little say, W that's. Qin Nan ignored the swelling of the divine battle spirit as he fixed his gaze on the divine battle spirit's head. At this very moment, the divine battle spirit had completely transformed into a green blurry giant. However, within its head, an ancient and indescribable brilliance slowly flowed out from within the green light. When this brilliance completely flowed out, the entire divine battle spirit underwent a shocking change. Bang! This time, there was no explosion, but Qin Nan's mind exploded, as an atavistic scene appeared in his mind. In the atavistic scene, the sky was shattered into countless black holes, and the ground was spread out endlessly. Countless powerful atavistic auras were fired into the sky, resulting in a shocking battle. These powerful atavistic auras could shatter the heavens and shatter the earth with just a wave of their hands, causing the stars to descend. It was as if the whole world was being devoured by this terrifying battle. Finally, at the moment of doomsday, a ray of light descended upon the world. The ray of light was indescribable, as if it was a ray of light in the midst of endless darkness, piercing through everything. All the atavistic auras, all the terrifying attacks were destroyed by the ray of light. The ray of light was a person whose appearance could not be seen clearly. The chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Qin Nan's eyes were filled with astonishment as tears burst out from his eyes for some reason. The scene in his mind came to a halt as soon as the person appeared, causing him to return to reality. Pa! It was as if Qin Nan had lost all his strength, as he fell to the ground with a blank expression on his face. His mind went blank as he breathed heavily. Only after a full 6 hours had passed did he slowly come back to his senses. What kind of war was that just now? Why am I crying? Qin Nan slowly exhaled. Whether it was the terrifying figure that had awakened the eyes of the divine battle spirit, or the shocking battle this time, or the person that had appeared at the end of the battle, his mind was filled with too many questions. He had no idea how to answer these questions. Screw it, these questions are surely related to the divine battle spirit. I'm afraid I'll only be able to answer these questions when my cultivation is strong enough. Qin Nan mumbled to himself as he gathered his thoughts and said, most importantly, I should check out the first-grade Xian ranked divine battle spirit. Upon thinking about the divine battle spirit, Qin Nan became excited once again. How significant is a Xian ranked martial spirit? In the entire Luoha kingdom, among the younger generation, there were only 4 people who possessed a Xian ranked martial spirit. These 4 people were the core disciples of the Xianling clan, the Flying Sword sect, the Qing Nu sect, and the Disordered Flames sect. Only the 4 of them possessed a first-grade Xian ranked martial spirit, making them the top geniuses of the Luoha kingdom. Now that Qin Nan had awakened a first-grade Xian ranked martial spirit, he was no longer a super genius, but one of the top 5 geniuses of the Luoha kingdom. Most importantly, Wei Hao, who possessed a 10th-grade Huang-ranked martial spirit, as the son of the sect leader, only had a chance to reach the martial dominator realm. Only those with a Xian-ranked martial spirit would be able to reach the martial dominator realm without any accidents. Therefore, one could easily tell how powerful a Xian-ranked martial spirit was. Qin Nan took a deep breath and unleashed the divine battle spirit. Behind Qin Nan, a blinding green light was emitted, as an 80-zhang tall illusionary figure of the divine battle spirit emerged from the ground and stood in midair. Its pair of white eyes stared forward, as if it was looking down at all living things, while emitting an unimaginable pressure. Compared to the divine battle spirit, the difference in terms of aura was like the difference between the heavens and the earth, a terrifying difference. This was a first-grade Xian-ranked martial spirit. Phew, let's try cultivating with it. Qin Nan took a deep breath and activated the divine battle spirit, before entering a rift and cultivating. At that instant, the entire 3rd residence experienced a shocking change. Chapter 179. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The spiritual qi in the entire 3rd courtyard seemed to be affected by a terrifying suction force. It was like a gust of wind was howling towards them at an extremely crazy speed. It actually emitted a muffled explosion, which was extremely shocking. In just a short period of time, Qin Nan's body had absorbed a huge amount of qi, which was 3 times more than when he possessed a 10th-grade Huang-ranked martial spirit. Howling wind and thunder. It's the rare phenomenon of the howling wind and thunder. A Xian-ranked martial spirit is indeed powerful. Qin Nan's heart skipped a beat. When a 10th-grade Huang-ranked martial spirit absorbed qi, the qi would turn into dragons and phoenixes, resulting in a spectacular sight. However, a Xian-ranked martial spirit was even more powerful. During cultivation, the heavens and earth would tremble, resulting in the howling wind and thunder. This was only a first-grade Xian-ranked martial spirit. If Qin Nan were to achieve the legendary 10th-grade Xian-ranked martial spirit, the qi would turn into real wind, thunder, fire, and lightning during his cultivation. Just by cultivating, it would be like the birth of a peerless expert. With a Xian-ranked martial spirit and the support of the qi of the 3rd residence, I'm an atavistic cultivator. I'll definitely have a breakthrough in a short period of time. Qin Nan's eyes flickered, as he quickly calmed his mind and started cultivating. At that instant, the entire 3rd residence was filled with the sound of the howling wind and thunder. If it weren't for the forbidding aura of the 3rd residence, The powerful noise would have caused the entire inner domain peak to tremble. Time gradually passed. 3 days were gone in the blink of an eye. Within these 3 days, it was as if Qin Nan had turned into a statue, remaining calm as he continued to absorb the qi absorbed by the divine battle spirit from the heavens and earth. If one were to look down at the third residence from above, they would see that the place where the divine battle spirit was floating had turned into a huge black hole, absorbing the qi from the surroundings at a crazy speed. From this, it could be seen that Qin Nan's body had absorbed a huge amount of qi in these 3 days. All of a sudden, the rate at which the divine battle spirit was absorbing the qi came to a stop, as Qin Nan's tightly shut eyes sprang open. Third layer Xiantian realm. Qin Nan let out a yell, as the accumulated atavistic qi in his body emitted a buzz, causing the amount of qi to increase rapidly. Qin Nan's aura had reached the third layer Xiantian realm. 3 days, in just 3 days' time, my cultivation has reached the third layer Xiantian realm. At this rate, I should be able to improve my cultivation to the 5th layer Xiantian realm in the remaining 50 days, or even the 6th layer Xiantian realm. Qin Nan's eyes martial spirit realm Xiantian realm through Xiantian Xian 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 Xiu Xiantian Xiu. It was unimaginable. However, it took me over 500,000 martial emperor pills to upgrade my Xian-ranked martial spirit. Is it just to increase my cultivation speed? Qin Nan frowned slightly. Previously, he had only used a few tens of thousands of martial emperor pills to awaken the imperious eyes of the divine battle spirit. Now that his martial spirit had leveled up to a Xian-ranked, it did not only increase his cultivation speed. This is, in the midst of his confusion, Qin Nan suddenly noticed that within the blurry head on the divine battle spirit's illusionary figure, there was something hidden within. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. A faint purple light flashed. The purple glow was extremely faint. If it wasn't a coincidence, Qin Nan wouldn't have noticed it. What is this purple light? What's inside? Qin Nan immediately began to ponder, but he was still clueless after a long time. However, his instinct told him that this purple glow was somehow related to his divine battle spirit's breakthrough to the Xian-ranked martial spirit. It was highly possible that it was a new ability similar to the eyes of the divine battle spirit. A Xian-ranked martial spirit was not that simple. What will come eventually. There's no need to think too much about it now. Qin Nan slowly said in his heart, now that I've reached the third layer Xiantian realm, the barrier to the Xiantian realm, I should continue to cultivate and try my best to achieve a breakthrough. The barrier to the Xiantian realm referred to the fact that after reaching the third layer Xiantian realm, one would possess a vast amount of qi, allowing one to comprehend the secrets of qi and master the ability to unleash qi externally. Unleashing qi externally referred to the process of unleashing qi externally from one's body and forming various physical objects, such as sabers, swords, spears, etc. In other words, only those who had mastered the ability to unleash qi externally could be considered a Xiantian realm expert. Qin Nan was now trying to comprehend the secrets of unleashing qi externally. Qi is stored in one's body. How do I unleash it externally? It seems like there are 2 ways to unleash it. The first is through the meridians of one's body. The second is through the blood, spreading it throughout one's body. Either through the meridians or through one's blood, there's still one problem. How does qi flow out from one's body? No, that's not right. If I continue to think about it, I won't be able to unleash qi externally. Qin Nan quickly entered the state of mind, as his brain rapidly processed the information. Love Go Xiao Sei Ku. After the divine battle spirit leveled up to a Xian-ranked martial spirit, not only did his cultivation improve, His comprehension, sharpness, etc. were all improved too, making him stronger than when he only had a 10th grade Huang-ranked martial spirit. There was an old saying in the Kanglan continent, "A powerful martial spirit is a wise man." The meaning of the saying was that as long as one's martial spirit was powerful enough, one's comprehension, talent, etc. would be outstanding. Time gradually passed. A day was gone in the blink of an eye. As night fell, Qin Nan felt like his brain was on the verge of collapsing. Unleashing qi externally should be done through one's pores. Only one's pores can unleash qi. No, that's not right. Either the meridians, the blood, or the pores are unable to withstand the force of qi, causing the entire body to shatter into pieces. Then how do I unleash qi? There's no place on my body for it to be unleashed. It felt like Qin Nan's thoughts had arrived before a huge door. Despite pondering hard, he was still unable to open the door and obtain the truth. This feeling was like a bottleneck. If someone with an unstable mind were to reach this bottleneck, they would feel extreme pain and give up. However, Qin Nan had a firm martial heart, thus he would not experience such a feeling. It was as if he had entered the state of a martial addict, as if he had gone mad. He would not give up until he obtained the truth. At that instant, a cold harumph could be heard. Unleashing qi externally is a mystery. How could an ordinary human body be unleashed? As my servant, you can't even comprehend this state. You're too stupid. The chapter is not finished yet, please turn the page. The voice belonged to Princess Meow Meow. She had returned some time ago. After seeing Qin Nan's painful expression and sensing Qin Nan's 5th layer Xiantian realm aura, she immediately understood what was going on, thus she decided to give him some advice. After hearing the words, Qin Nan's body shuddered violently, as if his mind was struck by lightning. Unleashing qi externally is a mystery. How could an ordinary human body be unleashed? That's right, that's absolutely right. My flesh is unable to withstand the power of qi, thus I can't unleash it. Why don't I think of it in another way? Qi is something that belongs to me. It can be gathered at my dantian or around my body. That's why I'm able to unleash qi externally. Qin Nan's thoughts came to a sudden realization at that instant. The ball of qi inside his dantian exploded and vanished into thin air. Following this, Qin Nan's body emitted a clanging sound, as a stream of qi was ignited on the surface of his body, resulting in a sizzling sound. This was the unleashing of qi externally. Qin Nan's eyes slowly sprang open as he felt the qi being unleashed, and mumbled to himself, "So this is the unleashing of qi externally. In other words, I'm able to unleash qi externally by scattering the qi in my body and gathering it around my body." Qin Nan's eyes flickered, and with a thought, the qi outside his body instantly transformed into a huge saber made of qi, which slashed in midair, emitting a tremendous saber intent and a murderous aura, resulting in a formidable power. The power of this casual slash was enough to defeat any 3rd-layer Xiantian realm cultivator, or even an ordinary 4th-layer Xiantian realm cultivator. The unleashing of qi externally is indeed powerful. Qin Nan's heart shuddered, but he soon calmed his thoughts and raised his head looking toward Princess Meow Meow, who was wearing a mystical dress, and said, "Princess, I was wrong before. I apologize, I hope you can forgive me." After seeing his reaction, Princess Meow Meow's unpleasant mood instantly improved, but she could not show it on her face, as she let out a cold harumph and said, "I'm a magnanimous person, so I won't be fussy with you. Besides, how are you going to thank me for the guidance I've given you? I don't have any requests, just give me 100,000 or 80,000 Martial Emperor pills." Qin Nan's face turned dull instantly. He was now broke, how could he afford pills? Besides, he was only able to level up his divine battle spirit into a Xian-ranked martial spirit thanks to Ouyang Jun's body-tempering pill. Princess Meow Meow did not say anything further, but her eyes glistened as she glanced at Qin Nan and said, Your aura is at least 10 times stronger than before, and even more mysterious. I'm curious to know what you've done. Previously, Princess Meow Meow was extremely disdainful toward Qin Nan, but now she could feel an indescribable pressure from Qin Nan's body, and a terrifying mysterious feeling. Ordinary experts would not be able to sense this feeling. Only Princess Meow Meow was able to sense it due to her unique ability. Princess, you'll understand when the time comes. Qin Nan let out a smile. As he was about to change the topic, he suddenly thought of an important question. Since the Divine Battle Spirit had leveled up, were there any changes to the eyes of the Divine Battle Spirit? Upon having this thought, Qin Nan could not help but unleash his eyes of the Divine Battle Spirit and glanced toward Princess Meow Meow. With a glimpse, Qin Nan's expression changed tremendously. Chapter 180. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. With his previous eyes of the Divine Battle Spirit, Qin Nan was only able to roughly determine that Princess Meow Meow's cultivation had reached the martial ancestor realm. With his current eyes of the Divine Battle Spirit, Qin Nan was able to see through Princess Meow Meow's cultivation. She had reached the peak of the martial ancestor realm, and was only a step away from the powerful martial dominator realm. That alone was not enough to shock Qin Nan so much. Qin Nan could also see a tremendous, unfathomable force hidden inside Princess Meow Meow's body. However, the force was extremely weak, as if it had suffered a great injury. The force inside Princess Meow Meow's body was damaged. Does that mean that when Princess Meow Meow was at her peak, her cultivation had greatly surpassed the martial ancestor realm? Qin Nan mumbled to himself before he took a deep breath. Princess Meow Meow was transformed from the ancient ginseng, thus her cultivation was surely powerful. However, when she was injured, her cultivation was already at the peak of the martial ancestor realm. What level of herb would she be at her peak? At that instant, Qin Nan suddenly realized that he had underestimated Princess Meow Meow's strength. Withdraw your eye technique, Princess Meow Meow said with an unpleasant expression. From today onward, you're not allowed to peek at my body. Qin Nan immediately collected his thoughts after seeing her being enraged, and withdrew his eyes of the Divine Battle Spirit. Princess, there's something I need your help with, Qin Nan said after a slight hesitation. Tell me. Princess Meow Meow pretended to be magnanimous and waved her hand. Her action, which was supposed to show off her aura, combined with her petite figure that resembled a 13-year-old's, made her look extremely adorable. I would like to borrow some atavistic spiritual liquid from you, Qin Nan said slowly after a slight hesitation. He had only spoken these words after careful consideration. Even with a Xian-ranked martial spirit, his cultivation could only reach the 6th layer Xiantian realm, at most within 2 months. In the next 2 months, with Ouyang Jun's support, Lung Feng's cultivation would at least reach the 9th layer Xiantian realm. It was impossible for a 6th layer Xiantian realm cultivator to face a 9th layer Xiantian realm cultivator. That was why he needed to borrow enough Archean spiritual liquid from Princess Meow Meow. With enough atavistic spiritual liquid, together with his Divine Battle Spirit, his cultivation would surely skyrocket, allowing him to catch up to Lung Feng. Most importantly, since he already owed 500,000 martial emperor pills, it did not matter if he owed a few more pills. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. What? You want to borrow the primordial spiritual liquid from me? Princess Meow Meow asked in disbelief. Could it be that this Qin Nan did not know of her stingy character, and actually opened his mouth to ask her to borrow the primeval spiritual liquid? Wasn't Qin Nan asking for trouble? If Princess is willing to lend me enough atavistic spiritual liquid, Qin Nan clenched his teeth and said, I'll pay you back with double the amount. Pay you back with double the amount? Princess Meow Meow's eyes flickered with excitement, but she did not accept it right away. Instead, she said in an alert tone, "Qin Nan, based on my understanding of you, you would never take the initiative to borrow from others, let alone me. What's your intention?" Qin Nan was left speechless after hearing this. "With your outstanding cultivation, why are you worried that I won't pay you back? What if you die?" Princess Miao Miao's face was still filled with disbelief. A faint smile appeared on Qin Nan's face, but he did not say anything. Even if his cultivation was no match against Lung Feng's in 2 months' time, as long as he unleashed his divine battle spirit, the Xianling clan would interfere at the Hall of Life and Death to stop the duel. This was because a first-grade Xian-ranked martial spirit was too rare. Once it appeared, the person would surely become a core disciple of the sect and be nurtured with all their resources. Princess Miao Miao knew that she had said something wrong, as she tilted her head and pondered for a moment, before saying, "It's fine if you want to borrow the atavistic spiritual liquid, but you'll owe me 1,000 martial emperor pills for a drop of atavistic spiritual liquid. Are you willing to accept this price?" 1,000 martial emperor pills? Qin Nan's expression changed instantly. Although the atavistic spiritual liquid was precious, it was definitely not worth 1,000 martial emperor pills. This Princess Miao Miao was asking for an exorbitant price. Princess Miao Miao did not mind, as she let out a soft harumph and said in an indifferent tone, "I won't force you if you don't want to accept it. All right, if there's nothing else, I'll be leaving now. You have to understand that I'm very busy." After saying this, Princess Miao Miao turned around and prepared to leave in a straightforward manner. Qin Nan's face turned dull as he yelled, "Fine, I'll accept your offer. 1,000 martial emperor pills, 1,000 martial emperor pills it is. I want 100 drops of atavistic spiritual liquid." "Hee, that's more like it." Princess Miao Miao turned around, her face filled with pride. "If that's the case, you'll owe me 100,000 martial emperor pills from today onward." Qin Nan clenched his teeth. No matter how hard he tried to calm his thoughts, his expression was still unpleasant. He had already owed 500,000 martial emperor pills, and now he owed another 100,000, which was a total of 600,000 martial emperor pills. 600,000 martial emperor pills, how long would it take for him to repay the debt? If it weren't for the sake of improving his cultivation, he would never owe so many pills, not to mention that he owed Princess Miao Miao 100,000 martial emperor pills. "Give me the atavistic spiritual liquid now, I'm running out of time." Qin Nan withheld the unpleasant feeling in his heart and said. Princess Miao Miao raised her finger, and before she released the atavistic spiritual liquid, she suddenly spoke. "I have one more request." "One more request?" Qin Nan could no longer control his emotions, as his face was filled with anger. "This Princess Miao Miao, does she really think I'm a pushover?" Princess Miao Miao let out a cold harumph and said, "Initially, I only wanted you to call me Princess Miao Miao is the prettiest and cutest 30 times, but I've changed my mind. If you don't call me that 30 times, I will not give you the atavistic spiritual liquid, no matter how many pills you give me." "You." Qin Nan did not expect her to make such a request, and said helplessly, "Princess Miao Miao is the prettiest and cutest, Princess Miao Miao is the prettiest and cutest, Princess Miao Miao is the prettiest and cutest." In his opinion, the request was extremely childish, thus he was not willing to accept it. Princess Miao Miao was overjoyed after hearing the series of words, even though Qin Nan showed no sign of affection or respect toward her. After Qin Nan called her 100 times, she let out a joyful cry and said, "Nice, nice, very nice, I'll reward you handsomely." With a flick of her finger, a total of 110 drops of atavistic spiritual liquid were fired from the tip of her finger, a total of 10 extra drops. After seeing the 110 drops of atavistic spiritual liquid emitting a rich and pure qi, the unpleasant feeling in Qin Nan's heart dissipated, as his expression turned calm. Let's go. Remember, you owe me 100,000 Martial Emperor pills. Princess Meow Meow said with a pleasant voice, as her petite figure disappeared from the third residence with a kick. Qin Nan immediately collected his thoughts, as he grabbed the 110 drops of atavistic spiritual liquid into his storage bag. Following this, without wasting any time, he sat down with his legs crossed, as the divine battle spirit floated above him, as he began to cultivate. He could not afford to waste even a single breath. Chapter 181. Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second/Small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. As Qin Nan went into seclusion, Ouyang Jun led Ling Feng to the Minghui Pagoda and entered the Heaven Room. Baidu Search AI Go Female Sign Shao Say www.aichuxs. This move shook the entire Xianling clan once again. Lord Ouyang is really generous. He actually allowed Ling Feng to enter the Sky Room. TSK, it seems like Ouyang Jun is planning to kill Qin Nan in the Hall of Life and Death. Ling Feng already has a 10th grade Huang-ranked martial spirit. Together with the power of the Heaven Room, I'm afraid he will be able to break through to the 9th layer Xiantian realm. Countless elders and disciples couldn't help but sigh. At the same time, they felt sorry for Qin Nan. In their eyes, there was no doubt that Qin Nan was going to lose the duel. After all, the Heaven Rooms in Minghui Court not only contained 10 times more spiritual energy than the outside world, but also contained morning flower dew, ancient Zen incense, misty star stones, and other rare treasures that could enhance one's comprehension and cultivation. Someone once said that cultivating in the Sky Room of Minghui Pavilion for a day was like cultivating for 3 autumns. From this, one could see how powerful the Sky Room of Minghui Pavilion was. Time gradually passed. Half a month later, the news of Qin Nan challenging Ling Feng to a duel was finally spread to the other 3 sections. Normally, this kind of news would not attract the attention of the 3 sections. But who was Qin Nan? Regardless of his talent, the fact that he knew the secrets of the Martial Serendipity Pavilion was enough to attract the attention of the top 3 sections. As such, the 3 sects were in an uproar. Flying Sword Sect. Ha ha ha, Qin Nan is a stupid pig. He's actually so arrogant and conceited that he dares to challenge Ling Feng, whose cultivation is 5 whole realms higher than his. I originally thought that he was a character. But now, it seems that he will definitely die. Disordered Flames Sect. This Qin Nan is too arrogant. He has actually reached such a level of lawlessness. I have no idea where he gets his confidence from, but I have a feeling that Qin Nan isn't the kind of person who would do something reckless. Qin New Sect. What? Why would senior brother Qin Nan do such a thing? Disappointing, too disappointing. I originally thought that he was the one destined for me. I didn't expect that he would soon become a pile of bones. Sigh, why do you have to do this? The disciples of the top 3 sects were greatly disappointed in Qin Nan, and began to mock him. As for the elders of the 3 sects, they naturally believed that Qin Nan was dead for sure. However, their thoughts were different from these disciples. They were more concerned about the collision behind this battle. Ouyang Jun was the son of the sect leader, while Qin Nan was the disciple of the Great Elder and the Honorable Elder. Now that these two had collided, wouldn't it imply that the relationship between the sect leader of the Xianling clan, the Great Elder, and the Honorable Elder was as incompatible as the rumors said? Or could it be that this battle was only a ploy to confuse the top 3 sects? At that instant, the authorities of the top 3 sects began to speculate, and began to execute their plans to obtain more information in order to learn the truth. As the rumors spread outside in the 3rd residence, Qin Nan was not concerned about what had happened in the past half a month, as he immersed himself in his cultivation. Atavistic spiritual liquid. Qin Nan's eyes sprang open as he consumed another 10 drops of atavistic spiritual liquid, and rapidly refined them. This was the third time he had consumed the atavistic spiritual liquid in the past half a month. Following this, a loud explosion took place, as the aura in Qin Nan's body rose rapidly like a ferocious beast being awakened. At that instant, Qin Nan's cultivation had finally reached the 4th layer Xiantian realm. There's still a long way to go before I reach Lingfeng's level. I still have to work hard. Qin Nan did not have any time to rest, as he closed his eyes once again and unleashed the divine battle spirit to absorb the qi crazily, resulting in a series of thunderous roars. As for the atavistic spiritual liquid, he continued to consume it. Time passed rapidly as he continued to cultivate. Another half a month was gone in the blink of an eye. At that instant, the divine battle spirit continued to absorb the vast amount of qi, while the aura inside Qin Nan's body seemed to have reached a limit, as if it was trying to break through the barrier. In the past half a month, Qin Nan had consumed a total of 30 drops of atavistic spiritual liquid, which was 3 times more than the previous time. All of a sudden, Qin Nan's face reddened, as if his entire body was being scorched by fire. All the pores on Qin Nan's body were opened by the aura, which emitted hot air toward his surroundings. The temperature of the entire residence rose rapidly. At last, after the period it took for an incense to burn, Qin Nan's body shuddered violently, as the hot air emitted from his body flowed backward and was absorbed into his body once again. As the hot air was absorbed into his body, Qin Nan's eyes sprang open, as a powerful qi was emitted from his body. The qi belonged to the 5th layer Xiantian realm. As expected of a Xian-ranked martial spirit, as expected of the atavistic spiritual liquid, and as expected of an atavistic cultivation. Because of these 3 points, I was able to improve my cultivation from the 2nd layer Xiantian realm to the 5th layer Xiantian realm within a month. Qin Nan exhaled deeply as his eyes flickered with excitement, while a faint smile appeared on his face. He still had 50 drops of atavistic spiritual liquid, and with the help of the Xian-ranked martial spirit and the speed of the atavistic cultivation, his cultivation would surely reach the 8th layer Xiantian realm in a month's time. As long as his cultivation reached the 8th layer Xiantian realm, Qin Nan would not be worried about battling against Lingfeng. Time to cultivate. Qin Nan soon calmed his thoughts and closed his eyes, preparing to cultivate. At that instant, a rare occurrence took place, as a familiar voice could be heard coming from outside the 3rd residence. Qin Nan, open the door, it's me. Qin Nan was startled. The voice belonged to Xiao Qingxue. Chapter 182. Genius remembers love in 1 second divided by little? Sagnet, providing you with interesting novels to read. Qin Nan did not expect Xiao Qingxue to be here at this moment. Love Go Little Say, W. Chu Xiao Qingxue was one of the reasons why Ouyang Jun and Qin Nan were hostile toward each other. This was the reason why Ouyang Jun sent Lingfeng to challenge Qin Nan to a duel. In other words, Xiao Qingxue was closely related to the whole thing. However, it had already been a month since Lingfeng had agreed to the duel. Why was Xiao Qingxue only here now? Qin Nan withheld the doubts in his heart and went up to the door to open it. Xiao Qingxue was wearing a white robe with light makeup. Her skin was pale, and her figure was plump. She stood there elegantly like a lotus flower, like a fairy. Even Qin Nan's eyes flickered when he saw her again. Qin Nan, it's been a while. Xiao Qingxue glanced at Qin Nan and was about to say something when she sharply sensed the aura emitted from Qin Nan's body, causing her face to shudder. As a martial emperor expert, she could easily sense that Qin Nan's aura was extremely powerful. The qi in his body was like a surging river, endlessly flowing. Qin Nan dared to challenge Lingfeng to a duel because he was extremely confident. Qingxue, why are you here now? Qin Nan let out a smile. Xiao Qingxue collected her thoughts and gave him a thoughtful look before explaining, when you challenged Ling Feng to a duel, I was away from the sect on a mission. What I didn't expect was that so many things had happened when I came back. Xiao Qingxue's attractive face was filled with a hint of relief, mixed with a hint of bitterness. She was relieved that Qin Nan did not let her down, as he became the first person in the history of the four great sects to reach the top of the martial serendipity pavilion and obtain its secrets. Not only that, Qin Nan's martial spirit was not 8th grade Huang ranked, but 10th grade Huang ranked. With a 10th grade Huang ranked martial spirit, it meant that Qin Nan had become a super genius, which was extremely rare in the entire Xianling clan. What made her feel bitter was that Ouyang Jun wanted to deal with Qin Nan, which led to Qin Nan taking the initiative to challenge Ling Feng. 2 months later, at the Hall of Life and Death, they would see who was better. Qin Nan suddenly understood and nodded. I see. No wonder you didn't come at the beginning. I'd rather not come here myself. Xiao Qingxue let out a sigh in her heart, before saying in a soft tone, Qin Nan, I've already told you not to be so impulsive. Why can't you just bear with it? As long as you bear with it, everything will be fine and nothing will happen. Qin Nan let out a wry smile. If he were facing an enemy, even a powerful one, he would not mind it at all. However, facing Xiao Qingxue's complaint, he was left speechless, unable to refute it. Qin Nan immediately switched the topic. Why are you here? Xiao Qingxue was about to speak, but hesitated after seeing Qin Nan. Should she say those words or not? Qin Nan was aware of her dilemma, as he let out a calm smile and said, Qingxue, I'm sorry. You've always been taking care of me. I owe you a huge favor, and I've always treated you as my elder sister. Therefore, feel free to tell me what's on your mind. Only an elder sister, Xiao Qingxue mumbled in her heart with a dull expression. Following this, she recalled the conversation she had with Ouyang Jun last night, causing her eyes to become firm as she slowly said, Qin Nan, I hope you'll admit defeat in the duel between you and Ling Feng. Admit defeat? Qin Nan was startled. He did not expect Xiao Qingxue to ask him to admit defeat. Qingxue, you know my personality. Since he has taken the initiative to challenge me, why would I back off? Now that the duel has been decided, I will not go back on my words, nor will I admit defeat. Qin Nan stared into Xiao Qingxue's eyes and said word by word, Besides, Qingxue, you have to believe me. The outcome of the duel is still uncertain. In Qin Nan's opinion, Xiao Qingxue must be worried that he would lose his life if he were to lose to Ling Feng. However, Xiao Qingxue's next sentence caused him to be stunned on the spot. That's not it. I'm not asking you to admit defeat because I'm worried that you'll lose. Xiao Qingxue stared with her eyes open and said in a serious tone, Qin Nan, since I met you at Linshui City, everything you've done has been shocking, creating miracles that have far exceeded my expectations. To be honest, I believe you can do what others failed to do. You will surely defeat Ling Feng in this duel. Then you, Qin Nan did not know how to react at that instant. If Xiao Qingxue believed in him, why would she ask him to admit defeat? Xiao Qingxue seemed to have let go of her emotions, as she let out a sigh and said in a calm tone, Qin Nan, I don't want you to fight with Ling Feng to the death. As I said, if you defeat Ling Feng, what will happen after that? You will surely face the wrath of Ouyang Jun. With his extreme personality, he will surely seek revenge on you, and even scheme against you. You might not be afraid of his challenge, but can you avoid his schemes? As for you, with your pride, you will not admit defeat no matter who you are facing. You will surely fight until the end. The final outcome will not be good for you. You're asking me to admit defeat in such a roundabout way, just so I can avoid Ouyang Jun? Qin Nan asked after a slight hesitation. Xiao Qingxue recalled what Ouyang Jun had told her, as her eyes flickered with a hint of determination, as she nodded her head and said, If you choose to admit defeat this time, and choose to be patient, I can guarantee that Ouyang Jun will not harm you in the future. Therefore, I hope you will admit defeat. Qin Nan fell silent, completely silent. He clearly understood Xiao Qingshua's intention. He chose to admit defeat, to avoid Ouyang Jun's wrath, and to be patient. It seemed like everything was for his own good, but what about the truth? He was a prideful person, and the word admit defeat had never appeared in his mind. Xiao Qingxue knew this too. She knew it, but she still asked him to admit defeat, just to avoid Ouyang Jun's wrath. Xiao Qingshue's eyes reddened when she saw him remaining silent, as she held back her tears and said, Qin Nan, I'm begging you, please? I've never asked you for anything before. I hope you can promise me, please? Qin Nan, really listen to me this time, please? I know admitting defeat is extremely difficult and painful for you, but this time, you're doing it to help me, please? Qin Nan's figure shuddered. If Xiao Qingxue were to ask him for help, even if it was to deal with Ouyang Jun, he would not even frown his eyebrows. But, to admit defeat? How could he admit defeat? Even the word, admit defeat, would cause him to feel a stinging sensation in his mind. Until now, he had always been competing with his opponent who was a few times stronger than him, facing a dangerous situation, but he had always held his head high, and never lowered his head even when he was severely injured. However, facing Xiao Qingshue's request, his heart began to struggle fiercely. At that instant, the divine battle spirit in Qin Nan's body let out a roar as if it had sensed Qin Nan's will, which exploded in Qin Nan's mind. The roar was filled with anger and fury. The divine battle spirit, battling the heavens and earth, there's nothing it doesn't fight, and there's nothing it won't win. This is the divine battle spirit. As the owner of the divine battle spirit, how could Qin Nan back off? How could he admit defeat? Qin Nan would face all his enemies head-on, even if it meant that he would have to pay 1,000 times the price, to wipe out everything and destroy the world. Qin Nan's eyes instantly turned bloodshot. He had never lowered his head before. Why would he do that? As the owner of the divine battle spirit, he had a proud backbone. Why would he lower his head? I can't admit defeat. I must fight. Win the battle. Qin Nan's emotions skyrocketed at that instant as his aura rose rapidly, as if he had transformed into a divine god of battle, emitting an overwhelming battle intent. Xiao Qingxue saw his expression alternating between anger and coldness. In the midst of it all, a bang could be heard, as if the string of a zither had been snapped. The distance between her and Qin Nan had become unreachable. At that instant, Qin Nan's aura returned to normal all of a sudden, as he waved his hand with difficulty, and said in a bitter tone, Leave now. I'll admit defeat. Fine. Seeing him like this, Xiao Qingxue felt as if her heart was being cut by a knife. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. At this moment, a trace of confusion appeared in her heart. Did she do something wrong this time? She had no idea if she was wrong or not, as her mind was in a complete mess, as if she had lost her soul. She walked out of the residence one step at a time, as if every step was extremely difficult, as if she was going to be drowned by the cruelty in any second. As her figure disappeared from his sight, Qin Nan could no longer hold on, as endless fatigue devoured him like a tide. In the end, for the sake of Xiao Qingxue, for the sake of their past relationship, he chose to lower his head. Chapter 183. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by little? Here's an interesting novel for you to read. The next day, a piece of news was spread to the Xianling clan, causing everyone to be shocked. Love go little say, W Chu what? Qin Nan admitted his defeat? K me, who the hell is this guy? He was so smug before, daring to challenge Ling Feng, and now he admitted his defeat? TSK, what the hell? What kind of trash is Qin Nan? Damn it, I even lent him the pills, who would have thought he was such a coward? Damn it. I think it's reasonable for him to admit his defeat. After all, with Leng Feng's strength, Qin Nan challenging him is the same as committing suicide. If I were him, I would choose to admit my defeat too. No matter what, this Qin Nan, despite his outstanding background and martial spirit, is still a coward. The entire Xianling clan, be it the disciples or the elders, burst out cursing without hesitation. How could anyone admit their defeat after challenging him to a duel? Furthermore, Qin Nan's current identity was no longer insignificant. His actions were simply a joke and a disgrace to the crowd. That being said, many of them believed that Qin Nan's action was reasonable and understandable. A love go little say W. Chu. Meanwhile, among the outer disciples at the outer domain peak, Xiao Yunhe, Luo Jianhao, Wang Chu, and the rest of the disciples who had participated in the trial of versatility could not believe their ears when they heard the news. In their minds, they couldn't help but think of the arrogant figure who had dared to challenge everyone back then. Why would a man like him admit defeat on his own accord? At that instant, Xiao Yunhe, Luo Jianhao, Wang Chu, and the rest of the disciples fell silent, as wry smiles appeared on their faces. So this is the martial world? Its cruelty is enough to bend a person's spine? They were not the only ones. Huang Long, Mo Zishan, Su Yu, De Hu, and the others who were now inner domain disciples burst out laughing upon hearing the news, as if it was the funniest thing in the world. Qin Nan admitted defeat? What kind of joke was this? During the outer domain trial, even when he was pressured by the first elder and Nangong Qing, his expression remained unchanged, and he continued to perform miracles one after another. In the end, at the martial serendipity pavilion, facing the super geniuses from the Flying Sword sect, the Disordered Flames sect, and the Qin Nu sect, Qin Nan did not mind at all. He continued to perform miracles in the first round, second round, and third round, winning the first round and crushing the geniuses. In the end, Qin Nan passed the fourth floor and the fifth floor, learning the secrets of the martial serendipity pavilion and reaching the pinnacle. How could such a man admit defeat? After Huang Long, Mo Zishan, Su Yu, De Hu, and the others confirmed the news, they instantly fell into silence. It was as if they could see the scene of the once spirited, battle-hungry young man surrendering helplessly with a dispirited expression. At that instant, Huang Long and the others could feel their hearts aching and their noses tingling, as if they had the urge to cry. For a long time, Qin Nan's proud figure had gradually become their dream, their goal, and the existence that they had been longing for. Now, their dream was shattered, their dream was gone, and their dream was gone. This was a great tragedy. Meanwhile, in the disciplinary hall, Xiao Leng and Chu Yun were infuriated after reading the news brought by the disciple before them, as they yelled with murderous intent, "Cut the bullshit, who is senior brother Qin Nan? Is he someone you can understand? Let me tell you, even if he were to die, he would never lower his head and surrender." At that instant, Xiao Leng and Chu Yun were enraged. Ai go xiao shua 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 w ai chuek. They were different from Huang Long and the others. They were the first to follow Qin Nan, and had a good relationship with Qin Nan. Besides that, they were familiar with Qin Nan, and were familiar with Qin Nan's personality. What kind of person was Qin Nan? No matter who it was, as long as they tried to harm him, he would return the favor without mercy. Even if his opponent was stronger than him, he would never back off, nor show the slightest sign of fear. This was because he was extremely prideful, a pride that came from his bones. This pride caused him to never lower his head, and to stand proudly between the heavens and earth. Although his personality was ridiculous in many people's eyes, he was worthy of everyone's respect. Such a Qin Nan was willing to surrender? Xiao Leng and Chu Yun clearly knew that letting Qin Nan surrender would be a bigger blow than crippling Qin Nan. However, as more news was delivered to Xiao Lung and Chu Yun's ears, the anger on their faces completely froze. Qin Nan really surrendered. The previously prideful and fearless Qin Nan really chose to surrender. No way, no way, no way. Green veins popped out on Xiao Lung's forehead, and his eyes turned red as he screamed, "Senior brother Qin Nan, big brother Qin Nan, even if he were to die, even if his hands and legs were crippled, he would never surrender. It's impossible to admit defeat, it's impossible to admit defeat." At that instant, Xiao Ling seemed to have lost his mind, but his voice gradually turned softer, and at the end, he fell silent. People always change. Chu Yun broke the silence and said in a soft voice, the disappointment in her eyes was unconcealable. Meanwhile, in a pagoda beside the skills library, old Shan's figure rose from his seat with a swoosh, with a terrifying expression. "What? You said he chose to surrender? He chose to surrender?" The person sitting in front of old Shan was none other than Gong Yang. It was Gong Yang's first time meeting old Shan. He was supposed to be polite, but at that instant, he chose to remain silent. "Ridiculous, this is ridiculous." Elder Shan let out a laugh and said, "I was impressed by him, but I didn't expect a man like him to fail to fulfill the promise he had made himself. This old man was blind, really blind." At that instant, old Shan was completely enraged. Gong Yang let out a sigh in his heart and hesitated for a moment, before he slowly said, "Old Shan, I don't think this is as simple as it seems. You and I both know Qin Nan's personality. He is not the kind of person who would lower his head and admit defeat. I believe he must have his reasons." "Reasons?" Old Shan's face turned cold as he said, "Regardless of his reasons, this is not the reason why he chose to surrender. Although it was unwise for him to challenge Ling Feng to a duel, I believe he can surpass his limit and create another miracle. Even if he loses to Ling Feng, he is still a man with an indomitable spirit." Gong Yang let out a wry smile and shook his head. Although he was confused, the fact that Qin Nan had surrendered was too great of a blow to him. However, Gong Yang still believed in Qin Nan. "Let's give him some more time," Gong Yang said. "It won't end here. When the time comes, his decision will tell the crowd what kind of person Qin Nan is." Old Shan's expression remained unpleasant until Gong Yang left, before he finally calmed down and said with a wry smile, "Senior brother, I didn't expect him to surrender." At some point in time, a mysterious old man was standing in the courtyard. If Qin Nan were here, he would recognize this mysterious old man to be the mysterious old man he had met at the Island of Versatility, old Shan's senior brother. "Don't worry, it's not easy for him to appear here," the mysterious old man calmly said. "Trust me, that young man will not lower his head so easily. If I'm not mistaken, he will soon stir up a storm that will shock the top 4 sects and the entire Luaha kingdom." Old Shan was slightly startled. "What does that mean?" Chapter 184. Genius 1 Second. Remember Love Go Divided by Xiao? Shuanet, providing you with interesting novels to read. As the news of Qin Nan surrendering was spread to the entire Xianling clan, in the third residence, Qin Nan remained expressionless. In front of him stood Bai Heng. Baidu search AI Go Xiaosei, www.aichux. Some Bai Heng said in a cautious tone, "Young Master Qin Nan, the whole sect is talking about you, it's fine." Before Bai Heng could finish, Qin Nan interrupted him with an expressionless face. He could easily predict the reaction of the people of the Xianling clan, but he was not too bothered by it. He owed Xiao Qingxue a favor, and since Xiao Qingxue had taken the initiative to ask for his help, even if it meant being scolded and going against his own principles, he would still agree to repay Xiao Qingxue's favor. "The main reason I called you here today is to ask you if there's any way to obtain a huge amount of pills. You should know that I'm penniless now, with a huge debt on my shoulders, so I'm very..." Qin Nan stopped there. Now that Qin Nan had chosen to surrender, the duel between him and Ling Feng was cancelled. Previously, in order to deal with Ling Feng, Qin Nan had listened to Princess Miao Miao's plan and borrowed pills from everyone in the Xianling clan, which resulted in 500,000 martial emperor pills, and he still owed Princess Miao Miao 100,000 martial emperor pills. Now that the duel was cancelled, it was time for him to repay the debt. Bai Heng was startled and blurted out, "You're planning to repay the debt?" No matter who it was, they would have the same doubts as Bai Heng. When Qin Nan had borrowed the pills from the Xianling clan, the disciples and the elders did not expect Qin Nan to repay the debt. They were only doing him a favor because of the great elder, the honorable elder, and Qin Nan's talent. "I won't owe anyone anything. They have helped me by lending me the pills, so of course I'll repay them." Qin Nan let out a smile. His eyes were filled with a firm determination. So what if it was 600,000 martial emperor pills? Even if no one was planning to take the money, he would still have to repay it. This was his bottom line, and he would not choose to violate it. Bai Heng's eyes flickered, as a strong sense of respect rose in his heart. No matter how the outsiders viewed Qin Nan, he had always been respectful toward Qin Nan, treating him like a deity. After pondering for a while, he said, "There's only one way to get pills, which is to accept missions at the Hall of Fame. The most common way is to kill beasts." "Accept missions?" Qin Nan immediately came to a realization. In the Xianling clan, if a disciple wanted to become strong, they would need to have enough resources. In order to obtain resources, apart from the support of the clan, they would also need to complete missions from the clan. Even a super genius with a 10th grade Huang-ranked martial spirit was no exception. Qin Nan's main concern was that since joining the Xianling clan, he had never had the time to learn more about the Hall of Fame and accept missions. "Thanks, I'll head to the Hall of Fame now to accept missions," Qin Nan reminded Bai Heng, and before Bai Heng could say anything, he immediately left the place. However, his departure this time was different than the previous time. When the disciples of the Inner Domain Peak saw Qin Nan, they immediately wore disdainful looks and pointed their fingers at him. "Did you see that? That guy is Qin Nan, who challenged Ling Feng to a duel, but surrendered because he was scared of death. TSK, such a coward, such a disgrace. I'm curious too, if he's scared of death, where did he get his courage to challenge Ling Feng?" These inner domain disciples no longer admired Qin Nan like before, but mocked him instead. However, they only dared to whisper among themselves, as they did not dare to be too disrespectful. Qin Nan frowned his eyebrows, but he did not show any reaction, and headed straight to the Quest Hall. The Quest Hall was located on a mountain peak to the west of Tianfeng Mountain. The entire hall was 3 floors tall, covering an area of 1,000 miles. The entire hall was built with countless ancient bricks, giving it the appearance of a giant beast crawling on the ground, giving it an imposing aura, as still as a mountain. In front of the Quest Hall, there were countless disciples coming and going, resulting in a lively scene. Qin Nan withdrew his aura and entered the Quest Hall from a secluded corner. He was only here to accept missions and repay the debt of the pills. He did not want to attract too much attention. In the center of the first floor of the mission hall, there was a crystal boulder that was 100 meters long. On the surface of the crystal boulder, there were countless characters that were condensed from flames, forming missions of different lengths. They were rapidly rolling, allowing people to choose from them. This crystal boulder was known as the information crystal, which was used to gather information. It was extremely rare and valuable. Qin Nan stood at the back of the crowd and scanned the mission information on the crystal boulder from 10 meters away. "Head to the North River to investigate the reason behind the strange behavior of the mermaid tribe. Report back to the sect after completing the mission, and receive 1,000 Xiantian pills. I'm in need of a stock of 100 leaves resplendent flower. I'm willing to give you 1,000 martial emperor pills as a reward if you are able to get it. Investigate the strange behavior of the demonic flame mountain. You only need to know the reason behind the chaos at the demonic flame mountain to complete the mission. You must be an inner disciple. You will be rewarded with 5,000 martial emperor pills if you complete the mission. Qin Nan carefully browsed through the mission information, but the result left him slightly disappointed. Normally, quests with a high reward of pills would either require one to purchase rare treasures, or require one's cultivation to reach the martial emperor realm to accept the quests. As for the other missions, the highest reward would not be more than 5,000 Xiantian pills. If I were to complete a mission and receive 5,000 Xiantian pills, how long would it take me to gather 500,000 martial emperor pills? The mission I'm looking for now must be something I can accept with a great reward. Even if it's extremely dangerous, it shouldn't be a problem. Qin Nan mumbled to himself, but he did not give up. He continued browsing the missions. 2 hours. 2 hours. After 2.5 hours, Qin Nan suddenly saw a tiny line of words on the information crystal. It would be impossible to discover it if he did not take a closer look. Qin Nan's eyes glistened. The words of the mission read, "The 100 Emperors Mountain is currently missing 1 cultivator to hunt the beasts. There is no requirement of cultivation. As long as you are willing to join the team and complete the mission, you will receive 30,000 martial emperor pills as a reward." 30,000 martial emperor pills? As long as you are willing to join the team? There are no other requirements? Qin Nan instantly realized that there were too many doubts in this mission. First of all, this mission did not inform the group of where they were going to hunt the demonic beasts this time, how many people there were, and what level of cultivation these people had reached. Secondly, the mission did not have a requirement of cultivation, nor were there any specific requirements, but the reward was 30,000 martial emperor pills. Although he knew that there was something fishy going on with the quest, Qin Nan's heart could not help but beat rapidly. That was 50,000 martial emperor pills, enough to pay off 1/10 of his debt. However, at that instant, a surprised voice could be heard all of a sudden. "Qin Nan? You're Qin Nan?" Chapter 185. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by little? Here's an interesting novel for you to read. Qin Nan turned his head around and immediately saw a young man wearing a surprised expression. Love go little saith. The young man had a bulky figure, and a tremendous force could be felt from his body, causing one's heart to beat rapidly. 10th grade Huang ranked martial spirit, 8th layer Xiantian realm cultivation base, minor success stage of the arcane realm. Qin Nan swiftly executed his eyes of the divine battle spirit and observed the young man's strength, causing him to be filled with astonishment. The bulky young man's martial spirit, talent, and strength were stronger than Ling Feng's. Qin Nan withheld the doubts in his heart and brought his fists together. "I'm Qin Nan, may I know who you are?" "He, just call me Pang Kuan." Pang Kuan let out an honest smile and said, "I didn't expect to be so lucky today, to stumble into the famous Qin Nan at the Hall of Fame. Brother Qin Nan, you might not know, but I've been admiring your name for a long time. I'm just cursing your name now." Qin Nan let out a smile, without any change in his expression. Pang Kuan was left speechless for a moment, not knowing what to say. Love go little say. Previously when Qin Nan challenged Ling Feng to a duel, and when he took the initiative to surrender, he had looked down on Qin Nan and cursed Qin Nan, believing that Qin Nan was an irresponsible and cowardly person. However, now that Qin Nan had brought up the topic, he was taken by surprise. "Brother Qin Nan, are you here to accept a quest?" Pang Kuan immediately switched the topic. Although Qin Nan had no idea why he was here, he did not try to hide it as he said with a calm smile, Senior Brother Pang Kuan, you should know that I borrowed pills from the entire Mystic Spirit sect not long ago. It's only natural that I'm here to accept the mission and return the pills. You're planning to repay it? At this moment, Pang Kuan was truly stunned. A while ago, Qin Nan had asked the honorary elder to borrow medicinal pills from all the members of the Xianling clan. Naturally, he knew about this because he had also received an IOU from Qin Nan. Out of curiosity and admiration, Pang Kuan even lent Qin Nan 200 Martial Emperor pills. When Pang Kuan lent out the Martial Emperor pills, he did not expect Qin Nan to take the initiative to return them. I'm afraid it's not just Pang Kuan. Everyone who lent Qin Nan the pills. He never thought that Qin Nan would return the favor. Thinking up to here, Pang Kuan couldn't help but feel deep veneration and said, Brother Qin Nan, this humble one admires your actions greatly. Since you need to accept a mission, I have a mission that is very suitable for you. Do you want to accept it? What mission? Qin Nan's eyes flickered. Although the previous mission was quite attractive to Qin Nan, the mission was too strange, revealing a sense of danger. This mission was given by a senior brother ranked in the top 10. It's very simple, you only need to hunt beasts. Hunt a junior martial beast, and the reward is 10,000 Xiantian pills. Hunt an intermediate martial beast, and the reward is 50,000 Xiantian pills. Hunt an advanced martial beast, and the reward is 100,000 Xiantian pills. Pang Kuan chuckled and said, Of course, when hunting beasts, you have to preserve their cores for it to be effective. Qin Nan's eyes flickered with excitement. A junior martial beast was equivalent to a first-layer to third-layer Xiantian realm cultivator. With his current strength, it would be extremely easy to hunt them. If a single junior martial beast could earn him 10,000 Xiantian pills, he would only need to hunt 6,000 junior martial beasts to repay his debt. If it were an intermediate martial beast, Qin Nan would be able to handle it with ease too, as he would only need 1,200 junior martial beasts to repay his debt. It's more than enough for me to hunt junior martial beasts and intermediate martial beasts. More importantly, I can rely on hunting demonic beasts to hone my strength and enrich my combat experience. Therefore, this mission is extremely beneficial for me. Qin Nan's thoughts became clearer, but he was not in a rush to accept the mission. Instead, he hesitated for a while and asked, Senior Brother Pang Kuan, this mission is not bad, but why did the inner disciple Senior Brother give me this mission? I knew you would ask this. Pang Kuan's face was filled with a hint of respect as he said, This inner disciple Senior Brother's status is even higher than Senior Brother Gong Yang's. It's said that this Senior Brother is practicing a terrifying martial art, which requires him to continuously consume beast cores in order to master it. As such, this mission was given, which caused many outer disciples to hunt beasts crazily. Practicing a martial art, consuming beast cores? Qin Nan's heart skipped a beat as he was amazed. Even though his name was well known among the top 4 sects, and everyone knew about it however, some of the inner sect disciples and true super geniuses were extremely terrifying. Their foundations were profound, and they couldn't be underestimated at all. As the saying goes, there's always someone better than you, and there's always someone better than you. Even though Qin Nan had achieved a great achievement, he could not afford to be arrogant. If that's the case, I'll accept the mission. Qin Nan immediately made up his mind, as he brought his fists together toward Pang Kuan and said in a sincere tone, Thanks for the information, Senior Brother. Don't mention it, don't mention it. After all, the people of the June Alliance are a bit too much. Pang Kuan let out a smile, which served as a great contrast to his honest expression. Qin Nan's eyes flickered. He did not expect Pang Kuan to have some conflict with the June Alliance. This allowed Qin Nan to get rid of the doubts in his heart. It was most likely the reason why Pang Kuan took the initiative to talk to him, and even introduced him to the mission. The friend of a friend was an enemy. It seems like this June alliance is not the strongest in the Xianling clan. Qin Nan mumbled to himself. He then chatted with Pang Kuan for a while, and after bidding farewell to each other, he proceeded to the Deacon Elder of the Hall of Fame to register his information and accept the mission. After accepting the mission, Qin Nan did not stay any longer, as he left in a low-key manner, without attracting any attention. This mission requires me to hunt various martial commanders. Where should I go to hunt them? Qin Nan frowned his eyebrows and began to ponder. There was a place that was extremely suitable for him, which was Autumn Mountain. Autumn Mountain was filled with many beasts, including beginner martial commander and intermediate martial commander realm beasts, which were extremely suitable for hunting. However, Qin Nan was not willing to go to Autumn Mountain, as he was no longer the same person as before. Now that his name had shaken the top 4 sects, countless people were keeping an eye on his whereabouts. If he were to go to Autumn Mountain, the people of the other sects would assume that Qin Nan's trip to Autumn Mountain was related to the Martial Serendipity Pavilion. If that was the case, it would bring him a lot of trouble. Oh right, I can go to the Longhu Mountain Range. There are many beasts there too. Besides, I can use this chance to visit the clan and see how my father and the others are doing. Qin Nan's eyes flickered as he made up his mind. Chapter 186. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? Shua Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Although the Longhu Mountain Range was not as famous as the Chiu Mountain Range, there were plenty of beasts in it. The mountain range was vast, and contained countless secrets. Previously, when Qin Nan was young, he was struck by lightning at the Longhu Mountain Range, which allowed him to acquire the divine battle spirit. I need to talk to Princess Miao Miao. Qin Nan immediately took out his sound-conducting rune and transmitted a message. In just a few breaths' time, a petite figure arrived in mid-air and said, "Servant, why are you looking for the princess? You should know that the princess is extremely busy, spending millions of martial emperor pills every minute." Princess Miao Miao landed in front of Qin Nan. Her attractive face was filled with dissatisfaction. "I need to talk to you about something." Qin Nan ignored her words and said, "I've accepted a quest to hunt beasts, so we need to leave the Xianling clan." "What?" Princess Miao Miao raised her voice and snapped, "No, no way, you can't leave the Xianling clan." "Leave the Xianling clan, are you kidding me?" Everyone knew that she, Princess Miao Miao, was respected by everyone in the Xianling clan, and had countless opportunities to earn pills. And now Qin Nan wants her to leave? Qin Nan was unaware of her thoughts as he explained, "The place I'm heading to is the Longhu Mountain Range, where I need to hunt beasts. Only by hunting beasts can I earn martial emperor pills." Longhu Mountain Range? Princess Miao Miao's expression turned calm, as her eyes began to flicker, as if she was thinking of something. Qin Nan added another trump card after seeing her change her mind. "If I don't earn pills, I'm afraid I won't be able to repay my debt. So, it's fine if you don't want to go to Longhu Mountain Range, as long as you don't want me to repay the debt." Before he could finish his words, Princess Miao Miao's face turned serious and she said angrily, "Don't even think about it. You must pay back the pills you owe me. More, not less. Since that's the case, let's head to the Longhu Mountain Range." Qin Nan was secretly amused. Although Princess Miao Miao's cultivation was powerful, she would become extremely stingy when it came to pills. Although Qin Nan despised her profit-seeking character, he could not deny that as long as he grasped it well, this kind of character could also become a big part of him at a critical moment. This chapter does not end, please turn the page. You can go to Longhu Mountain Range too. Princess Miao Miao rolled her eyes. She seemed to have thought of something and a smile appeared on her face. "When we go to Longhu Mountain Range, this princess has a few missions that I need you to help me complete." "Mission? What kind of mission?" Qin Nan was slightly startled, before he suddenly collected his thoughts and recalled the incident that had taken place at Autumn Mountain. At that time, Princess Miao Miao had given him a map. Through the map, Qin Nan had found 80 crystalline flowers, which were equivalent to 80,000 martial emperor pills. Qin Nan had long been suspicious of the incident. Now, after hearing Princess Miao Miao's words, he was even more shocked. Princess Miao Miao had a mysterious background. She was transformed from a mystical herb and possessed a terrifying cultivation. Could it be that she possessed some kind of powerful secret technique that allowed her to know the locations of various mystical herbs? If it's the same as last time at Autumn Mountain, I can help you with the mission of finding the crystalline flowers, but I have a request. I want half of it, not even a little bit. Qin Nan was the first to speak. Now that he had a huge debt, he had to earn enough pills to repay it as soon as possible. Princess Miao Miao let out a hollow laugh and said, "Qin Nan, have you forgotten? Previously at the peak of Autumn Mountain, the Trading Alliance and the other 3 sects were trying to harm you. If it weren't for me, would you be able to leave in one piece? I'm not one to save people easily. Since I've saved your life once, you should do me a favor. If not..." Qin Nan instantly felt a headache coming on and was unable to say a single word. Although he really wanted to refute, Princess Miao Miao's words were the truth. Qin Nan took a deep breath to calm his thoughts and said, "You're right, I do owe you a favor. If that's the case, I'll help you once at the Longhu mountain range for free, but only once." "That's more like it." Princess Miao Miao smiled and said in a prideful tone, "When are we leaving? Let's go now." Qin Nan did not want to waste any more time, as he turned around and headed straight to the White Jade Dojo of the Xianling clan, and prepared to leave the mountain. Before leaving, Qin Nan hesitated for a moment, before shaking his head and making up his mind. Initially, he was planning to meet Old Shan, Gong Yang, and visit Xiao before he left, Leng, Chu Yun, and the others. However, on second thought, Qin Nan gave up on the thought. There was no need for him to explain further, as his true friends would be familiar with his personality and trust his decision. This time, Qin Nan's departure from the Xianling clan did not cause too much of a stir. Ever since Qin Nan admitted his defeat, countless people were either mocking him or ignoring him. After all, everyone was utterly disappointed in him. However, at the first residence of the Inner Domain Peak, there was a man who had been observing Qin Nan's every move since the beginning. The man was none other than Ouyang Jun. "Haha, senior brother Ouyang, I've just received news that Qin Nan has left the Xianling clan. In my opinion, there's no way he can stay in the Xianling clan any longer." Lung Feng burst out laughing as his face turned red, as if he was extremely proud of himself. Since Qin Nan had surrendered, his reputation had skyrocketed. Even the other 3 sects were curious as to what this unknown Lung Feng had done to make Qin Nan surrender. As the saying goes, it's easy to get 1,000 gold coins, but hard to get a good reputation. Ouyang Jun let out a disdainful laugh and said, "This Qin Nan is not only a coward, but also a coward. I still don't understand why someone like him would be favored by the Great Elder and the Honorable Elder. I was told that the Great Elder was extremely furious after Qin Nan surrendered, and was extremely disappointed." Ling Feng paused in the middle of his sentence, as a cold grin appeared on his face. "It's just an act, there's no need to take it seriously." Ouyang Jun's eyes flickered. That old man seems to be quite fond of Qin Nan. Otherwise, why wouldn't he ask Qin Nan about the secrets of the Martial Serendipity Pavilion? "Ling Feng, pass down my order at once. Gather the geniuses of the Jun Alliance, and ask them to follow Qin Nan and eliminate him at once." This, Ling Feng was shocked, as he did not expect Ouyang Jun to target Qin Nan directly. After a slight hesitation, he said, "With the Honorable Elder following Qin Nan, even the sect leader would not be able to kill him." "With the Honorable Elder?" Ouyang Jun asked in return, before a sinister grin appeared on his face. "There's no need to rush it. It's only a matter of time before he returns to the Xianling clan. Since he has offended me, I won't allow him to surrender. The day will come soon and he must die. Chapter 187. Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second Divided by Little? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Qin Nan and Princess Miao Miao left the Xianling clan and headed straight to Linshui City. The first time Qin Nan went to the Xianling clan from Linshui City, it took him almost 10 days. This time, his cultivation had reached the 5th layer Xiantian realm, and he had mastered the ability to expel his qi, as well as the greater success stage of the arcane realm. His speed was much faster than before, and he only needed 3 days to reach the destination. Multitasking. Qin Nan executed the mystical 8 steps while taking out the atavistic spiritual liquid and drinking it continuously. After the duel with Lung Feng, Qin Nan clearly realized that his strength was still too weak, and the achievements he had made yesterday were all in the past. If it weren't for his lack of strength, Ouyang Jun would not have been so smug, and even forced Xiao Qingxue to surrender. Following this, the atavistic spiritual liquid entered his body, and immediately turned into a vast amount of atavistic qi, which flowed into Qin Nan's body. Due to the boiling qi, Qin Nan's body emitted a woo-woo sound, which sounded like the howling of a gust of wind, or the howling of a spirit. As for Princess Miao Miao, she floated in mid-air, and entered a mysterious state. Her cultivation was even more mysterious. She was able to absorb the force of the heavens and earth without unleashing her martial spirit. Qin Nan tried to peek at her with his eyes of the divine battle spirit, but apart from faintly sensing that Princess Miao Miao was healing her wounds, he was unable to see through the secrets of her cultivation, not even the slightest bit of it, which made Qin Nan give up on the idea of observing her cultivation. Following this, the two continued to cultivate, and arrived at Linshui City 3 days later. 10 miles away from Linshui City, Qin Nan suddenly came to a stop, and his body expanded abruptly, as if a stream of qi was injected into his body, causing his size to increase by 3 times like a mini-giant. Zhen Qi Unification, Xiantian 6th Stage. Qin Nan let out a loud roar as he spat out a stream of majestic true energy. It transformed into an astral wind that swept out in all directions, leaving behind huge gullies in the ground. Trees were all chopped down by the turbid wind. This was exactly the case when cultivating in the Xiantian realm. As one's true energy accumulated, it would become mottled and impure, like a pool of muddy water. Now that Qin Nan was cleansing himself, his true energy would become more condensed and clear, allowing him to unleash even more powerful true energy. Qin Nan's aura quickly returned to normal and surprisingly reached the Xiantian 6th stage. It took me a total of 30 drops of atavistic spiritual liquid to achieve a breakthrough to the 6th layer of the Xiantian realm. It seems like the amount of atavistic spiritual liquid I need to consume will increase as my cultivation level rises. Qin Nan mumbled to himself as he proceeded forward, finally arriving at Linshui City. Linshui City is no longer what it used to be. The city was expanded like a creeping giant beast, majestic and imposing. Below the city walls, caravans and rogue cultivators continuously entered the city from all directions. It was extremely lively. This was mainly because Qin Nan had become a disciple of the Xianling clan and gained the protection of the Xianling clan. Therefore, the clans and cities surrounding Linshui City naturally did not dare to offend him and allowed him to develop freely. "I'll take you to my clan." Qin Nan glanced at Princess Miao Miao, then walked into the city. Looking at the unfamiliar yet familiar surroundings, his face couldn't help but reveal a hint of warmth. As the saying goes, gold and silver nests are not as good as one's own doghouse. Although this saying was crude, it was reasonable. No matter who it was, whether they were famous or miserable, the warmest place was their own home. Qin clan. Qin Nan's footsteps suddenly stopped, and his gaze looked towards an enormous courtyard house in the city. Today's Qin clan was already different after swallowing up the Fang clan. The size of the residence had doubled, and it occupied an area of 50 kilometers. It was grand and imposing, and many rogue cultivators once respectfully called it Qin City. "This is your clan?" Princess Miao Miao's small face revealed a trace of astonishment. She'd just investigated and discovered that the person with the highest cultivation in the Qin clan was actually only at the congenital stage, and even Qin Nan couldn't compare to him. How did such a clan give birth to a little freak like Qin Nan? "Yeah, this is my clan." Qin Nan sighed with emotion, and then he didn't speak any further as he walked towards the Qin clan. Unexpectedly, when he arrived at the entrance, two large men at the 8th level of the body tempering stage glared at him and said in a stern voice, "Who's there? This is the Qin clan. If you don't have an invitation, please leave at once." Although the two large men were aware that Qin Nan and Princess Miao Miao were extraordinary, this was the Qin clan, and no matter who it was, they had to show an invitation before they could enter. Qin Nan let out a smile and said, "Go and inform the patriarch that Qin Nan is back." "Qin Nan?" The two large men were slightly startled, before they suddenly came to a realization and said in astonishment, "You're Qin Nan? Your young master Qin Nan? Of course, there's no need to trouble you." Qin Nan nodded his head with a smile, and then gave Princess Miao Miao a look, before he took a step forward, and his figure turned into a blur, disappearing before the two large men. The two large men were dumbfounded. Where did he go? How did he suddenly disappear? After all, they were at the 8th level of the body tempering stage, and even an ordinary Xiantian realm expert wouldn't be able to disappear in front of them. In the Qin clan's main hall, Qin Tian sat at the head of the table, and below him was Tai San and many other new elders of the Qin clan. Qin Tian looked at the people in the main hall, and his brows were tightly knitted together as he said, "Regarding the recent changes in the Longhu mountain range, it's best that our Qin clan doesn't get involved. Because this incident has already attracted the attention of the 4 great clans of the Luaha kingdom. According to reliable information, they've already mobilized their entire clan and entered the mountain range." Before he could finish speaking, his expression suddenly changed. Not only Qin Tian, but all the other clan members' expressions changed greatly. Because in this clan's main hall, there were 2 extra people out of thin air. How significant was it for 2 extra people to appear out of thin air? Everyone knew that Qin Tian, Tai San, and some of the elders were now Xiantian realm experts, especially Qin Tian, who had reached the 5th layer Xiantian realm. The fact that these 2 people were able to appear out of nowhere without them noticing meant that their cultivations were significantly higher than theirs. "Father! Third uncle!" As the crowd was immersed in their astonishment, a voice could be heard. The one speaking was none other than Qin Nan. Qin Tian and Tai San were startled after hearing the familiar voice, before they glanced toward the direction of the voice. With a glimpse, they both lost their thoughts and mumbled to themselves, "Nanner? Young master?" Even in their dreams, Qin Tian and Tai San would never have thought that the Qin Nan they had missed so much would suddenly appear in front of them in such a manner. "Nanner, Nanner, it's really you. Ha ha, you little brat, you're finally willing to come back." Qin Tian swiftly reacted, as his face was filled with joy, losing his usual demeanor as the patriarch of the clan, as he took a step forward and hugged Qin Nan tightly. Since Qin Nan had left, as his father, Qin Tian had missed him a lot, and was always worried about him. Is Nanner doing well in the Xianling clan? Is he being bullied by the others? Will he cause any trouble? Now that his son was wearing a luxurious outfit, with a faint aura of a ruler, Qin Tian did not have the time to be happy, as he felt his nose tingling. As long as he's safe, that's all that matters. Chapter 188. Genius 1 Second. Remember Love Go Divided by Xiao? Shuanet, providing you with interesting novels to read. Following this, the news regarding Qin Nan's return was spread to the Qin clan and Linshui city, resulting in a great shock. Baidu search AI Go Xiaosei, www.aichux. Who was Qin Nan? Everyone in the Qin clan and the entire Linshui city knew who he was. He had displayed a legendary talent at a young age, and was known as the top genius of Linshui city. During the martial spirit awakening ceremony, he awakened a first-grade Huang-ranked martial spirit, causing his reputation to drop drastically, and he was labeled as trash. Following this, the Xianling clan arrived to select a disciple. The Fang clan gained the upper hand, while the Qin clan was defeated. At this critical moment, Qin Nan stepped forward and unleashed his 8th-grade Huang-ranked martial spirit, instantly turning the tables around and saving the Qin clan, becoming a disciple of the Xianling clan. Everyone knew about this story, and they were all impressed by it. As such, when the crowd heard the news regarding Qin Nan's return, they immediately rose and headed toward the Qin clan, causing the entrance of the Qin clan to be filled with a huge crowd. Meanwhile, in the conference hall of the Qin clan, after a brief shock, the elders who were not experienced enough were asked to leave the hall. Only Qin Tian and Tai San were left in the hall. Qin Nan, hurry up and tell me, what's your current cultivation? Tai San glanced at Qin Nan. He could sense a terrifying force being nurtured inside Qin Nan's body, which was definitely not at the half-Xiantian realm. 6th layer Xiantian realm. Qin Nan let out a smile, without hiding anything. What? Qin Tian and Tai San's eyes were filled with astonishment. 6th layer Xiantian realm? Qin Nan had reached the 6th layer Xiantian realm? When Qin Nan left the Qin clan, his cultivation was only at the 6th layer body tempering realm. How did he reach the 6th layer Xiantian realm in just 3 months? Even with an 8th-grade Huang-ranked martial spirit, it shouldn't be this terrifying. Of course, Qin Tian and Tai San didn't know that Qin Nan's martial spirit had reached the Xian rank. Not only that, but Qin Nan's name had already shaken the 4 great sections. He had become a true super genius and was remembered by countless people. If they knew, they would probably be scared silly. Good, as expected of my son. Qin Tian couldn't help but laugh out loud. Every father wanted their children to be successful. Now that he saw Qin Nan achieve such great success, how could he not be happy? By the way, Qin Nan, this is... When Qin Tian saw Princess Miao Miao standing beside Qin Nan, his eyes were filled with amazement. Although Princess Miao Miao was only a little girl, her noble temperament was natural and not pretentious at all. Her delicate face, despite her immature appearance, was indeed a beauty that could topple countries, attracting the attention of others. Such a beautiful little girl, could she be Qin Nan's future partner? Oh, I forgot about it. Qin Nan slapped his forehead and said, "This is the honorable elder of the Xianling clan, Princess Miao Miao. Her cultivation is on par with the clan leader and the great elder of the Xianling clan." What? Qin Tian and Tai San were dumbfounded. This beautiful little girl's cultivation is on par with the clan leader and the great elder of the Xianling clan? Although Qin Tian and Tai San were not very knowledgeable, they clearly knew that the clan leader and the great elder of the Xianling clan were the most powerful experts in the Luoha kingdom, and their cultivation was extremely terrifying. So it's senior. Sorry for the previous offense, it's really rude, really rude. After Qin Tian and Tai San collected their thoughts, they immediately cupped their fists and bowed. Hello. Princess Miao Miao's expression turned unpleasant as she was ignored. She raised her delicate chin and said coldly, "I'm just passing by, you don't have to mind me." Okay. Qin Tian was the first to nod his head. Although he was a little cautious, he was neither humble nor overbearing, displaying his demeanor. Qin Nan gave Princess Miao Miao a stare and said with a smile, "Father, third uncle, I've received a mission to hunt some beasts in the Longhu mountain range. After I've finished hunting the demonic beasts, I'll have a good gathering with you guys." Although Qin Nan had returned to the clan, he still wanted to clear his debt as soon as possible. As long as he was free of debt, he would feel better. "You're going to the Longhu mountain range?" Qin Tian was slightly startled, before he shook his head and said, "No way, I can't go to the Longhu mountain range now. The entire Longhu mountain range has been sealed off by the 4 great clans. If I were to stumble into them, I would surely be killed." 4 great clans. Qin Nan frowned his eyebrows. Since when was there another 4 great clans in the Luoha kingdom? Tai San nodded his head and let out a sigh. Yeah, the 4 great clans have been around since the Luoha kingdom was established. As these 4 great clans have been guarding the east, south, west, and north for a long time, they were granted titles by the royal family, and were known as the 4 great clans. Although the 4 great clans are incomparable to the 4 great sects in terms of strength, they do have martial emperor realm experts in their clans. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. This cannot be provoked. I see, Qin Nan instantly came to a realization. In the Luoha kingdom, apart from the 4 great sects, there were other martial clans of various sizes, and these 4 great clans were the top existences among the martial clans. "Father, Uncle San, don't worry. I'm a disciple of the Xianling clan. The 4 great clans would not dare to harm me." Qin Nan let out a calm smile. With his current identity, he could totally ignore the 4 great clans. Qin Tian and Tai San both shook their heads after hearing this. Qin Tian immediately said, "Nan, you've made a mistake this time. Normally, the 4 great clans would not dare to offend you, but it's different this time. A while ago, a rare phenomenon of the cries of dragons and tigers was heard from the Longhu mountain range. The 4 great clans immediately dispatched their entire clans to guard the Longhu mountain range. Therefore, even if the outer disciples of the 4 great sects were to forcefully enter the Longhu mountain range, their lives would not be in danger, but they would still suffer some pain." Rare phenomenon of the Longhu mountain range? Qin Nan ignored all of this as his eyes flickered with excitement. The Longhu mountain range was named after the cries of dragons and tigers could be heard from the mountain range. Until now, the crowd had only treated it as a legend, and no one believed it. But now, was there really a rare phenomenon of the cries of dragons and tigers? This Longhu mountain range is definitely extraordinary. Now that a rare phenomenon has appeared, there must be some kind of fortunate encounter. Qin Nan thought to himself. Previously, he had obtained the divine battle spirit at the Longhu mountain range, and now a rare phenomenon of the cries of dragons and tigers had appeared. This was definitely not a simple coincidence. At that instant, Princess Miao Miao, who had remained silent all this while, suddenly spoke. "He, what 4 great clans, daring to seal off the mountain range? How bold of them! Patriarch of the Qin clan, Elder Tai, don't you worry. With the princess here, these mere 4 great clans are nothing." Qin Tian and Tai San shuddered violently. They were so worried about Qin Nan that they had forgotten about Princess Miao Miao. If she was willing to help, these mere 4 great clans would not be a problem at all. However, the two did not realize that Princess Miao Miao's tone had changed, and she had even addressed them respectfully. Qin Nan was aware of it, and immediately came to a realization. "Father, third uncle, don't worry. With Princess Miao Miao here, the 4 great clans are nothing to be afraid of. P.S. Only 100 posts left. Keep it up, everyone. The freak has bought 5 bottles of Red Bull and a pack of cigarettes, and is preparing to stay up all night. If everyone works together, the freak will do the same." Chapter 189. Genius 1 Second. Remember love go divided by Shao? Net, providing you with interesting novels to read. Qin Tian and Tai San did not try to stop Qin Nan. Baidu search AI Go Xiaosei, www.aichux.com. The two of them clearly knew that the appearance of the dragon roar and tiger roar phenomenon meant that there was definitely a great treasure within the Longhu mountain range. It was a great opportunity. Let's go to the Longhu mountain range now. Princess Miao Miao urged. Princess, before we leave, I have a favor to ask of you. Qin Nan pondered for a moment before he made up his mind and said in a serious tone, I hope you can help the Qin family by setting up a formation to protect them. Qin Tian and Tai San's eyes flickered. Princess Miao Miao was a powerful existence on par with the clan leader of the Xianling clan. If she were to personally set up a formation, the safety of the Qin family would be guaranteed. However, would Princess Miao Miao agree to such a request? Princess Miao Miao chuckled after hearing this. Qin Nan, why bother asking such a naive question? I can promise to help you with one more thing. Qin Nan clenched his teeth and said, Princess Miao Miao squinted her eyes, but did not say anything. She seemed to be thinking of something. Following her silence, the atmosphere in the hall immediately froze, as if an invisible pressure was emitted. Even if Qin Tian and Tai San wanted to say something, they were unable to do so under such an atmosphere. After a while, Princess Miao Miao covered her mouth and laughed, which was like 100 flowers blooming. The atmosphere immediately collapsed as she said with a pleasant voice, Qin Nan, you are really too much. This princess will naturally help you with such a matter. Why do you have to do something so unnecessary? Qin Nan was speechless, and the corners of his mouth twitched fiercely. He could not help but admit that even he could not do anything against Princess Miao Miao's shamelessness, and admitted his defeat. I'll help you set up the formation now. Princess Miao Miao accepted the order without hesitation. Her eyes squinted as two invisible rays of light were emitted from them, together with the suppression of the martial ancestor realm. The entire hall began to tremble vigorously under the suppression, which even startled the people of the Qin clan. The expressions of everyone in the Qin family changed. It was as if an ancient boulder was pressing down on their hearts, heavy and unshakable. Baidu search AI Go Xiaosei, www.aichux.com, shattering the illusions, immeasurable art, Jiu return to one, secrets of the martial ancestor, limitless strength. Princess Miao Miao's young and delicate face turned solemn as she uttered a series of obscure phrases, which sounded like the chants of Vajra. Each of the phrases was capable of penetrating the void and absorbing the supreme force. This chapter does not end. Please turn the page. Power. As soon as she finished uttering the phrases, Princess Miao Miao suddenly moved and pointed her finger in the air. Bang! The entire Qin clan, which occupied an area of 100 li, began to tremble violently at that instant, causing the entire Linshui city to tremble. Streams of energy were emitted from Princess Miao Miao's fingertips into the sky, forming a giant net in the shape of an upside-down bowl, which encapsulated the entire Qin clan. The sky above the Qin clan was immediately filled with ferocious gusts of wind, thunder, lightning, and heavy rain. After a while, everything returned to normal. Done. Princess Miao Miao clapped her hands and glanced at Qin Tian and Tai San, whose faces were filled with astonishment, with a hint of pride on her face. Qin Nan soon recovered from the shock and glanced at the sky above the Qin clan with his eyes of the divine battle spirit. Under his gaze, he immediately saw a frightening amount of energy condensing into an enormous net. Through a mysterious method, this energy flowed through the veins of the enormous net and enveloped the entire Qin clan. It was as if the giant net-like force was in a deep slumber and would be awakened with the slightest disturbance, destroying everything in its path. Such a powerful formation. I'm afraid that even a peak martial emperor realm expert could be killed by this formation. It could even hold off an ordinary martial ancestor realm expert for a brief moment. Qin Nan was shocked in his heart, as he glanced at Princess Miao Miao with a hint of gratitude. Although Qin Nan had always been fearless, he was most worried about the safety of his clan. As he continued to grow stronger, he would surely offend more experts. If Linshui City were to be destroyed because of this, Qin Nan would definitely regret it for the rest of his life. Now that the Qin clan was under protection, he could finally feel at ease. "Thank you, Princess, thank you." Qin Tian and Tai San finally regained their senses. With faces full of excitement, they repeatedly expressed their thanks. They clearly knew the significance of the formation that was just established. "Don't mention it." Princess Miao Miao raised her chin and glanced at Qin Nan. "Can we leave now?" "Sure." Qin Nan nodded his head. "I'll bring you away this time." Princess Miao Miao suddenly reached out her hand and grabbed Qin Nan. Before Qin Nan could react, she flew into the sky and disappeared in front of Qin Tian and Tai San in just 2 breaths' time. Qin Tian and Tai San were shocked. It took them a while to collect their thoughts. Their faces were filled with complicated emotions, as if they were lamenting. "Patriarch, you've given birth to a good son," Tai San said. "Yes, Nan will not disappoint me." Qin Tian's eyes were filled with pride. At this moment, a commotion could be heard outside the Qin clan's residence. It turned out to be the elders and disciples of the Qin clan. After seeing the shocking change in the Qin clan, they were all terrified and hurried over to ask about the situation. "Only you and I will know about this. As for the others, there's no need to tell them." Qin Tian smiled after hearing the noise outside the residence. "Okay." Tai San nodded as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Ever since the incident in Linshui City, no matter if it was Qin Tian or Tai San, both of them were extremely clear that only after experiencing true trials and tribulations would one be able to understand what trust is, and what a life and death friendship is. Longhu Mountain Range, at the bottom of the mountain. 2 figures flew through the air and landed on the ground. They were Princess Miao Miao and Qin Nan. "Here are 2 maps. Follow these 2 maps and find the things on them for me." Princess Miao Miao didn't even look at Qin Nan as she threw the 2 maps to him. She took a step forward and turned into a ray of light, disappearing into the towering mountain range. Qin Nan shook his head speechlessly. He immediately picked up the 2 maps and started to study them. After looking at them, his expression changed slightly. "Stone of the Abyss? 9 Variations Flower?" Qin Nan took a deep breath. He did not expect the Stone of the Abyss and the 9 Variations Flower to be recorded on the map. Both the Stone of the Abyss and the 9 Variations Flower were extremely rare treasures. Either one of them was equivalent to 300,000 Martial Emperor pills, or even more. This Princess Miao Miao is really strange. She was able to take out a map both at Autumn Mountain and at the Longhu Mountain Range. Not only that, when she was at the Qin clan, she became extremely anxious after hearing the rare phenomenon of the dragon roars and tiger roars coming from the Longhu Mountain Range. Even though she tried her best to control her emotions, her actions had betrayed her. If I'm not mistaken, she is most likely going for the fortunate encounter at the Longhu Mountain Range. Qin Nan's eyes flickered. After a while, he decided not to overthink and headed toward the Longhu Mountain Range. However, as he entered the Longhu Mountain Range, a rare occurrence took place. Chapter 190. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. A sudden burning sensation could be felt in Qin Nan's eyes, as if his eyes were on fire all of a sudden. Qin Nan's face was filled with astonishment. It was his first time encountering such a situation since he had awakened his eyes of the divine battle spirit. The burning sensation did not last for long, as it finally returned to normal after a few breaths' time. However, Qin Nan's heart was filled with astonishment. Strange, this is strange. Why would my eyes of the divine battle spirit suddenly burn? These are the eyes of the divine battle spirit, capable of peering into the heavens and earth, capable of seeing through everything. It's impossible for such a burning sensation to happen for no reason. Could it be that the strange phenomenon is related to the rare phenomenon of the cries of dragons and tigers? Qin Nan's expression turned serious. Previously at the Longhu mountain range, he had obtained the divine battle spirit after encountering the heavenly tribulation. He initially thought it was just a coincidence, but now that the eyes of the divine battle spirit were burning with a strange sensation and the rare phenomenon of the cries of dragons and tigers, it all proved that there was some mysterious connection between the divine battle spirit and the Longhu mountain range. Screw it, the most important thing now is to complete the mission given by the princess. After completing her mission, I can continue to hunt beasts and move forward, to find the secret behind the strange phenomenon of the eyes of the divine battle spirit. Qin Nan pondered for a while, before he made up his mind and entered the mountain range. 300 meters to the west. 300 steps to the south, 3 ancient trees. 300 meters to the northwest, jump over the stream. Qin Nan continued to move forward with the map in his hand. Along the way, he encountered quite a number of beasts, but they were all body-tempering realm beasts, thus he chose to avoid them, as he was not interested in them. Another 2 miles, I'll be there soon. Qin Nan mumbled to himself. Following this, his figure turned into a blurry shadow and moved rapidly. After a few breaths' time, he finally arrived at the location of the Stone of the Abyss. Not far in front of Qin Nan, there was a small hill. This hill was covered with weeds. It was unknown how many years it had been exposed to the wind and the sun. Countless traces of time were left on the rocks. From time to time, there would be beasts and huge birds flying across the sky and landing on the hill to rest. There was nothing special about this small mountain. Eyes of the divine battle spirit. Qin Nan's eyes emitted a mystical glow, which immediately penetrated the hill. This puncture. A hint of shock appeared on Qin Nan's face. This was because he saw a huge amount of energy being nurtured in this ordinary-looking small mountain. The energy spread out in all directions with the center as its foundation. It was colorful, like a dazzling lotus throne. In the middle of this lotus-like throne of light, there was a thumb-sized purple stone. This purple stone was quite extraordinary, emitting streams of magical force that penetrated the small mountain and into the ground, like the roots of a tree, continuously absorbing the essence of the energy from the ground. This is the Stone of the Abyss. According to the rumors, one must use this stone to forge Hotian weapons. If I were to obtain this stone, I would be able to awaken the 7 great sins, allowing it to return to the Hotian weapon and unleash its full power. Not to mention, this stone is worth at least 300,000 martial emperor pills, or even more. Qin Nan's heart began to race rapidly. Forget it, since I've promised the princess, I shouldn't think too much about it. Let's retrieve the stone now. Qin Nan shook his head and withheld the thoughts in his mind. He took a step forward and his eyes turned sharp. Behind him, the 7 great sins began to vibrate vigorously, emitting a saber intent. An ancient saber even flew out from it and landed in front of Qin Nan. The ancient saber was named Greed. Slash! Following a loud roar, Qin Nan reached out his hand and grabbed the ancient saber Greed. He instantly unleashed the greater success stage of the arcane realm, emitting a powerful saber intent as his figure sprang into the air and slashed at the small mountain. Bang! Following a loud explosion, the small mountain was split into 2 halves by the slash. Countless rocks were scattered in all directions, revealing the Stone of the Abyss. Without hesitation, Qin Nan's figure leapt forward and reached out his hand to grab the Stone of the Abyss. However, at that instant a rare occurrence took place. The stone of the abyss emitted an even brighter seven-colored glow, which buzzed continuously, as if it had grown a pair of wings on its back. With a swoosh, it sprang into the air and fled into the distance. The stone of the abyss does live up to its name. It possesses a certain level of intelligence, which is why it is able to forge Hoteon weapons. Qin Nan's eyes flickered as a smile appeared on his face. He had fought against martial commanders and geniuses before, but it was his first time trying to acquire a treasure. Mystical 8 steps. Qin Nan's figure instantly sprang forward like a flash of lightning, and caught up to the stone of the abyss within a breath's time. The stone of the abyss vibrated even more vigorously, as if it was preparing to execute a killing blow. However, Qin Nan had already seen through it, and without hesitation, he drew out the ancient saber Ira from his back with his right hand. The two ancient sabers crossed each other in a cross, while emitting a shocking saber intent that crushed down onto the stone of the abyss. Bang bang bang! After a series of explosions, the stone of the abyss gradually calmed down, as if it had given up on resisting. That's more like it. Qin Nan nodded his head in satisfaction, and reached out his hand to grab the stone of the abyss. At that instant, a strange red glow was emitted from the stone of the abyss, which left the stone and disappeared into the woods, as if it was trying to convey some kind of message. Qin Nan frowned his eyebrows slightly. It was his first time fighting against a natural treasure, thus he had no idea what the red glow meant. However, he did not overthink it, and immediately grabbed the stone of the abyss and stored it in his storage bag. It didn't matter what the stone of the abyss was trying to do, as long as he could catch it. As Qin Nan turned around and left, a rapid buzzing sound could be heard coming from behind him. Qin Nan turned around and was stunned. A demonic insect the size of a head, with crimson eyes and a thick layer of ice covering its body, flapped its 16 pairs of bronze-colored wings and bared its fangs, charging toward Qin Nan with a murderous aura. Ice-armored ancient insect? The guardian beast of the stone of the abyss? Qin Nan was startled, before he quickly came to a realization. Every spiritual treasure of heaven and earth, since its birth, would have a demonic beast guarding it, known as the guardian demonic beast. The ice-armored ancient insect before him was also a famous demonic beast, with a layer of ice covering its body, which was difficult to injure. Although it only possessed the strength of the third-layer Sciention realm, its defense and speed were outstanding, thus it was not intimidated even when facing a fourth-layer Sciention realm cultivator. Not only that, if this ice-armored ancient insect were to attack at full strength, even an 8th-layer Sciention realm expert would have to flee for his life. That being said, the ice-armored ancient insect also had a fatal weakness, which was that it was extremely vulnerable to fire. Even a first-layer Sciention realm cultivator could be slain with ease if they were attacked with fire. What a surprise, this ice-armored ancient insect is the guardian beast of the stone of the abyss. If that's the case, I'll take you as my pet, since I'm lacking beast cores. Qin Nan burst out laughing as his saber intent was emitted, preparing to slay the ice-armored ancient insect. At that instant a rare occurrence took place. A loud buzzing sound could be heard coming from afar, which caused the ground to tremble and the trees to collapse. What's going on? Qin Nan frowned his eyebrows and glanced toward the source of the sound with his eyes of the divine battle spirit. With a glimpse, his expression stiffened. It was not a single ice-armored ancient insect, but 300 of them. Chapter 191. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second/Small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. These 300 ice-armored ancient insects had bloodshot eyes and bared their fangs. Together with the deafening buzzing of their wings, The 300 ice-armored ancient insects were like a giant ice curtain, emitting a blinding light under the sunlight. Together with the shocking aura they emitted, it was enough to cause one's scalp to go numb. Even Qin Nan, with his cultivation base, felt his hair stand on end when he saw this. Damn it! Qin Nan cursed in his heart as he quickly collected his thoughts. Without hesitation, he executed the mystical 8 steps and retreated at his fastest speed. If there were only a few dozen ice-armored ancient insects, Qin Nan would definitely not leave. However, facing 300 ice-armored ancient insects, even an 8th-layer Xiantian realm expert would be terrified and flee for his life. It would be unwise for Qin Nan to continue fighting them. The ice-armored ancient insects that had reached the primary martial realm had developed their own intelligence. When they saw Qin Nan trying to leave, their eyes emitted a red glow, as if their murderous intent had reached its peak. The 16 pairs of wings on their backs began to vibrate vigorously, causing their speed to increase by 3 times. At that instant, it was as if the 300 ice-armored ancient insects had transformed into a huge icy tornado, which covered Qin Nan's head at an unbelievable speed. So fast! Qin Nan was shocked. He had mastered the greater success stage of the arcane realm, and was able to execute the mystical 8 steps at lightning speed. Even an 8th-layer Xiantian realm cultivator would not be able to match his speed. The ice-armored ancient insect was only a 3rd-stage Xiantian realm demon commander, but its speed was actually slightly faster than him. Love go little say, Netwaku, this battle is unavoidable, so I'll let you have a taste of my saber intent. Qin Nan was very decisive. He took a step forward and instead of retreating, he rushed forward. His left hand was greedy while his right hand was enraged. The 2 ancient sabers exuded a shocking saber energy that seemed to have transformed into 2 giant sabers and slashed towards the curtain of insects. Bang 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 bang! A series of metallic clangs could be heard, as at least over 30 ice-armored ancient insects were slashed by the 2 slashes. However, only 3 of the ice-armored ancient insects were slashed in half by Qin Nan's saber intent, killing them instantly. The remaining ice-armored ancient insects were unharmed, but their figures were knocked backward. This defensive power. Qin Nan's eyes twitched. The 2 slashes he executed just now had consumed all his energy just to kill the 3 ice-armored ancient insects. If this continued, wouldn't he need 100 slashes to end this battle? The thought flashed through Qin Nan's mind, and he immediately took action. Regardless of whether he was able to unleash 100 slashes or 200 slashes, since he had already clashed with the ice-armored ancient insect, he had to thoroughly defeat it. Hiss 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 hiss! Before Qin Nan could make his next move, the remaining 200 ice-armored ancient insects that had yet to be attacked let out a strange cry, which sounded like furious roars. Following this, these ice-armored ancient insects bared their fangs and tore at Qin Nan, surrounding him from all directions. The ice-armored ancient insects surrounded him from all directions, leaving no gaps. Baidu search AI Go Xiaosei, www.aichux. If one were to observe from the side, they would see Qin Nan's figure covered in a thick layer of ice-armored ancient insects, as if he had been devoured by them. Qin Nan immediately felt a chill in his heart. In this crucial moment of life and death, he immediately unleashed his eyes of the divine battle spirit and scanned the entire place at a rapid speed, observing every single ice-armored ancient insect to find their weakness, so that he could break out of the encirclement. Here it is. Qin Nan's eyes emitted a flicker as he immediately locked onto a weak spot. There were not many insects at this spot, which seemed to be the spot where the 3 dead insects had yet to be filled up. Qin Nan instantly unleashed his saber intent and the qi in his body, causing the 2 ancient sabers to emit a shocking speed and saber intent, which slashed forward rapidly. In the blink of an eye, as the rest of the ice-armored ancient insects were about to bite Qin Nan's body, Qin Nan used the saber intent to smash open a gap in the ice-armored ancient insects at the weak spot. With a flicker, his figure swiftly escaped from the terrifying encirclement. However, despite his outstanding speed, the speed of the ice-armored ancient insects was even faster. Even though Qin Nan had successfully created a gap and escaped from it, over 10 ice-armored ancient insects still collided with Qin Nan's back like giant boulders, resulting in a series of explosions. Qin Nan's body was sent flying and slammed into the ground not far away, resulting in a huge pit. Cough cough, Qin Nan could feel a great pain coming from his back. After the impact from the ice-armored ancient insects, he could feel that his back was about to be torn apart, which resulted in a serious injury to his body, causing him to cough out a few mouthfuls of blood. It was Qin Nan's first time being injured like this in a battle with beasts. Before Qin Nan had the chance to rise from the ground, the group of ice-armored ancient insects became even more excited, as if they had just won the battle. They continued to let out cries, which transformed into layers of ice curtains that descended in Qin Nan's direction, not giving him any time to rest. Demonic beasts were different from humans. In their eyes, as long as they were of a different species, they had to be killed. How bold! After seeing this, Qin Nan could feel a shocking battle intent exploding in his chest. Mere beasts dare to act recklessly? Bang! Following a loud explosion, a huge green glow was emitted from Qin Nan's back. The divine battle spirit immediately emerged from the ground and stepped into the air, staring down at the group of ice-armored ancient insects with a cold expression. The movement of the ice-armored ancient insects came to a halt, as their eyes were filled with a hint of fear. The suppression emitted by a first-grade Xian-ranked martial spirit was quite intimidating to a group of Foundation martial beasts like them. After receiving the boost from the divine battle spirit, Qin Nan's battle intent grew stronger, as if he had transformed into an unbeatable general on the battlefield. He knew that the ice-armored ancient insects would not stay still for long, thus he immediately took the opportunity and executed the mystical 8-step. Thunder Crash Saber Art. Qin Nan held 2 ancient sabers in his hands, which emitted a thunderous explosion, as he lashed out 2 sabers at lightning speed. Another series of explosions took place, as 4 ice-armored ancient insects were turned into dust by the 2 sabers. The group of ice-armored ancient insects swiftly collected their thoughts and let out furious cries. They then merged into a group and charged toward Qin Nan once again. Great timing! Qin Nan's eyes emitted a mysterious glow as his eyes of the divine battle spirit were activated, allowing him to see through the movement of the ice-armored ancient insects, trying to find their patterns. Thunder Crash Saber Art. In the blink of an eye, Qin Nan lashed out 2 more sabers, killing another 3 ice-armored ancient insects. The remaining group of ice-armored ancient insects had arrived at Qin Nan's location, but he did not rush forward to face them head-on. Instead, with a kick from the tip of his left foot, his figure moved backward rapidly, and with a kick from the tip of his right foot, he rose upward rapidly. His movement became extremely strange, unpredictable, as he fully executed the secrets of the mystical 8 steps. Phew! 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 Qin Nan's breathing intensified. Not only did this kind of high-intensity movement require him to use his eyes of the divine battle spirit to observe the weak points and calculate with his brain, it also consumed a huge amount of qi, resulting in a huge burden on his body. However, the movement was quite effective, as he managed to create a distance of over 20 meters between himself and the ice-armored ancient insects. 100 steps soaring. Qin Nan did not stop there, as he drew out the 7 great sins from his back and threw them into the air. Apart from the 2 ancient sabers, Fury and Avarice, The other 5 ancient sabers emitted a blinding saber intent as they pierced through the air, resulting in a piercing sound as they charged toward the group of ice-armored ancient insects. From afar, it looked like 5 thunderbolts piercing through the air. This was Qin Nan's plan. He was using his eyes of the divine battle spirit to observe the weaknesses of the ice-armored ancient insects. After knowing their flight path, he could then execute the mystical 8 steps in the opposite direction, preventing the ice-armored ancient insects from changing their flight path in time, resulting in an opening, thus preventing them from catching up to him and increasing the distance between them. Once the distance was increased, Qin Nan would be able to execute the 100 steps soaring, and the 5 ancient sabers would be able to eliminate more than 10 ice-armored ancient insects at once. If he continued to rely on this plan, he would be able to slowly kill the group of ice-armored ancient insects. 300 Foundation martial beasts, that's 3 million Xiantian pills, which could be exchanged for 30,000 martial emperor pills. Qin Nan's heart was filled with excitement. At this crucial moment, a rare occurrence took place. Chapter 192. Genius 1 Second. Remember Love Go Divided by Xiao? Net, providing you with interesting novels to read. 5 piercing sounds could be heard coming from the crowd of ice-armored ancient insects, which turned out to be 5 ice-armored ancient insects. Their eyes emitted a bright red glow as they uttered continuous hisses, as if they had gone mad. Their figures dashed forward and collided with the 5 ancient sabers. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao say www.aichuxs. Xian bang, bang, bang. 5 consecutive explosions took place. Despite the ice-armored ancient insects' outstanding defense, they were still shattered into pieces by the 5 ancient sabers. However, the 5 ancient sabers came to a stop as well. At that instant, the remaining ice-armored ancient insects swiftly collected their thoughts and flew in all directions, as if they had practiced the move for a long time, dodging the 5 ancient sabers that were approaching them from all directions. Qin Nan's expression stiffened. He did not expect the ice-armored ancient insects to be so crazy, sacrificing 5 of their tribe members to ensure the survival of the rest of the ice-armored ancient insects. However, this was only the beginning. It was as if the ice-armored ancient insects flying in all directions were infuriated by the death of the 5 ice-armored ancient insects, as they split into 15 groups in midair instead of a huge group of beasts. This caused the target of their attacks to expand, preventing Qin Nan from locking onto them. Gasp! 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 Before they could finish their actions, the 15 groups of ice-armored ancient insects charged toward Qin Nan while faintly forming some kind of formation, trying to trap Qin Nan within it and kill him. Qin Nan's expression changed instantly. He did not expect the ice-armored ancient insects to be so intelligent, to be able to set up a formation to deal with the enemy. Even with his eyes of the divine battle spirit, which allowed him to discover the weakness of the formation, he was unable to achieve the desired result when facing over 200 ice-armored ancient insects and 15 groups. Even if I were to execute the heavenly accumulating strike now, it would be useless. There's only one way to deal with these ice-armored ancient insects. Qin Nan's eyes suddenly became sharp, and his fighting spirit burned crazily. He was the owner of the divine battle spirit, capable of battling against the heavens and earth. There was nothing he did not fight against, and nothing he did not win against. How could a mere ice-armored ancient insect stop him? Kill! Qin Nan uttered a roar and unleashed his eyes of the divine battle spirit. He held the saber with both hands and executed a shocking blow. Boom! 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 A series of explosions took place, indicating that a shocking battle was about to take place. Meanwhile, Qin Nan was observing the situation with his eyes of the divine battle spirit. With his cultivation, he continued to slay the ice-armored ancient insects with his saber. However, he was no longer the divine god of battle. Even though he was using his full strength, countless attacks still landed on him like raindrops. In less than 100 breaths of time, Qin Nan's hair was disheveled, and his clothes were riddled with holes of various sizes. Blood flowed out from the holes, and he looked extremely miserable. That was not the end of it. Qin Nan's qi was being consumed at a rapid pace. At this rate, he would not be able to hold on any longer. I can't be reckless all the time. I must stay calm. Stay calm, stay calm. Qin Nan kept yelling in his heart to remind himself in the midst of the battle. Even though he had the divine battle spirit, if he were to act recklessly in such a battle, his death would be the only outcome. The defense of these ice-armored ancient insects is too insane. If they did not have such a defense, even if there were 500 of them, I could easily crush them with my cultivation. Such a pity that there are almost no ice-armored ancient insects left. Weakness, the only weakness is their fear of fire. However, I'm not a disciple of the Disordered Flames sect. I don't have any fire-related martial skills, nor the power of fire. In the midst of the battle, Qin Nan's qi continued to be depleted, as did his strength, causing him to feel weak and powerless. Even with his strong battle intent and the support of his first-grade Xian-ranked divine battle spirit, there was no way he could change the outcome of the battle. There must be a way, there must be a way. There's always a way out. The battle has yet to reach its end, the outcome is still unpredictable. Qin Nan's heart was still burning with a glimmer of hope, which he held onto tightly without giving up, as he racked his brains to come up with a solution. Suddenly, a ray of light flashed across Qin Nan's mind, as a bold idea appeared in his mind. The ice-armored ancient insects are afraid of fire. Even though I don't have any fire-related martial skills, can't I create a fire-related martial skill? Qin Nan's eyes flickered with excitement, as if he was a hopeless traveler in the desert who had suddenly found an oasis, causing him to feel excited. He had once created a saber art when he was young. Now that his cultivation, martial spirit, experience, etc. had improved significantly, creating a fire-related martial skill would not be too difficult for him. After all, every martial skill was created by humans. If his seniors were able to create it, he could do it too. That's not a bad idea, let's do it. Qin Nan immediately made up his mind and placed all his hopes on the outcome of the battle. At that instant, he immediately entered the state of multitasking. It was as if his body had turned into a puppet, as he continuously consumed his qi while waving the two ancient sabers, killing the ice-armored ancient insects. The other half of his mind was immersed in the martial skill addict state, as he immersed himself in the martial skill. I'm good at saber arts, so I can create a saber art martial skill. I've seen a martial skill called iceberg slash before. With a slash of the saber, an icy wind would blow, which contained a strong icy force. Through this martial skill, I can do the opposite, and create a saber art with the force of fire. Qin Nan instantly immersed himself in his thoughts, as he continued to deduce the martial skill. However, in his current state, although he was able to multitask, his body was not as agile as before, and he did not have the eyes of the divine battle spirit to observe his weaknesses. Therefore, his body could only execute the killing blow instinctively, as he had no chance of dodging the attacks of the ice-armored ancient insects. The burden on Qin Nan's body instantly multiplied within a short period of time. In simpler terms, previously, he was able to dodge 8 out of 10 attacks from the ice-armored ancient worm, and receive 2 of them. However, now, with the ability to multitask, he could only dodge 1 attack, and receive 9 of them. Bang! 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 A series of attacks landed on Qin Nan's body like a series of bombs, which exploded continuously. Qin Nan's body was knocked backward continuously, as bloody holes appeared on his body, causing his aura to drop rapidly. If he were an ordinary person, he would have let out cries of agony and lost his will to battle. However, Qin Nan's consciousness had already entered the state of a martial addict, ignoring everything around him, thus he was unable to feel any pain from his flesh. The ice-armored ancient insects had sharp senses, and they were aware of Qin Nan's change, causing them to become even more ferocious, as their attacks became fiercer, and continued to attack Qin Nan. Qin Nan's body was on the verge of collapsing. In just 10 more attacks, his body would completely collapse. 8 times. 5 times. This chapter does not end, please turn the page, twice. After receiving 9 attacks, Qin Nan's body trembled violently, as blood splattered everywhere, and his aura was extremely weak. A total of 10 ice-armored ancient insects were aware of the change, as they let out excited cries and charged toward Qin Nan at their fastest speed. This final attack would be able to end Qin Nan's life once and for all. This final attack would be able to turn him into dust. In the nick of time, Qin Nan's dull eyes emitted a strong glow. Although it felt like he had entered a different space, and nothing happening in the outside world could affect his thoughts, under the effect of the eyes of the divine battle spirit, it was as if time had been slowed down on purpose, causing the speed of the ice-armored ancient insects to be 10 times slower. Qin Nan effortlessly dodged the attacks of the 10 ice-armored ancient insects with a flicker. My saber is the saber of my heart. The heavens and earth are boundless. The sun rises from the east. The heavens and earth are burning. The night falls. The surroundings are covered in ice. Qin Nan spoke with conviction, as the 2 ancient sabers in his hands vibrated vigorously. The heavenly accumulating strike, gather the heavens and earth, gather the ocean, gather the mountains and rivers, gather everything in this world. I gather the power of the heavens and earth, and gather it into the body of my saber. The body of my saber is the body of my heart. The body of my saber contains fire, and my heart will turn into fire. Qin Nan's tone turned high-spirited, as waves of heat were emitted from his body. The figures of the ice-armored ancient insects shuddered violently, as if they had just encountered something terrifying, as their eyes were filled with a hint of terror. Qin Nan's eyes immediately turned sharp as he yelled, "The fire-accumulating saber art has been invented. If I don't ignite it now, when should I?" Whoosh! The qi emitted from the 2 ancient sabers in Qin Nan's hands transformed into blazing flames, causing the temperature of the surroundings to rise rapidly. It was as if he had transformed into a disciple of the Disordered Flames sect who had practiced an advanced fire-based martial art, causing his body to emit waves of heat, causing everything in his surroundings to evaporate. Kill! Qin Nan uttered a roar once again, as he held the fiery saber in his hand and dove into the group of ice-armored ancient insects like a man on fire. Bang! 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 At that instant a shocking sight took place. The ice-armored ancient insects, which initially had a strong defense, were like dead wood facing the fiery saber, which could be shattered into pieces with a slight snap. Their figures were instantly shattered into pieces, as they had no chance to defend themselves. In just a short period of time, over 10 slashes were executed, killing 60 ice-armored ancient insects in total, without any resistance. The intelligent ice-armored ancient insects were utterly stunned by the sight before them, as the remaining ones uttered cries of terror and flapped their wings continuously, fleeing for their lives in all directions, completely losing their previous aura. Ha! Qin Nan burst out laughing as his battle intent rose rapidly, as he executed the mystical 8 steps, crushing everything in his path. Awesome! Absolutely awesome! It felt like he was dancing on the tip of a knife when he was on the brink of death, tasting the fear of death while seizing every second he had to invent martial skills to turn the tables around, crushing the previously terrifying ice-armored ancient insects, giving him a great sense of satisfaction. This was the charm of a battle, continuously battling, defying death, defying everything, causing one to be immersed in it. Fight, fight, fight. Qin Nan's emotions were extremely high, as he raised the ancient saber in his hand, slaying all who stood in his way, causing him to feel extremely pleasant. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.